And Drew, the Demons in particular have a fair bit riding on today's result.
Yeah, they sure do, John, because if they can win today, they'll finish in third place on the ladder and win a game against Carlton next week. If they lose, they'll finish fourth and have to come up against Essendon next week. Still a bit in it for the Eagles, though, because they've never been beaten at the end of the home and away season by the Dockers. And at the moment, unless the Eagles can win today, they will be, Barra.
Yeah, and then there's the big M factor, the McKenna factor. The great man is retiring today. There'll be a lot of emotion associated with that. But just going back to Melbourne, I just spoke to Neil Danaher. Did you know they haven't finished in the top three since 1964?
Gee, I
JFK was assassinated, you told me, in 1964. That's how old it is. That is incredible. So a big day for them if they can finish in the top three.
They won the flag that year, so if they finish third this year, who knows? Because they're certainly a form team. They've only lost once in the last 8 rounds, the Demons, and that was by a point. So they're really, really going well.
They'd have to go in favourites too, wouldn't they?
Oh, they would. And conversely, the Eagles have won just one of their last 10 games. And can you explain the second half of the season fade-outs by the Eagles? Since 95 right through, it's amazing they just don't see the season out.
It's been nothing short of diabolical in the last couple of years, and I think April champions is the word there. They bring them up early, try to win some games early, catch a few teams on the hop and then hang on, but they just haven't hung on. Last 2 years have been disgraceful, and that is something that Ken Judge apparently will be working on next season, and looking at that statistic, you'd have to work on it, wouldn't you?
And Barra, unless I'm mistaken, you have to kick a score to win the game. And how are they going to kick a score?
Well, that is
no Cummings, no Grgic, no Philip Matera. All their leading goal kickers are out, so who's going to kick the goals?
You're right there, that is their big problem. And Philip Matera taken out by an umpire last week. How tough is that umpire? That was incredible. The umpire umpired on. Phil Matera not playing this week.
I reckon after that, Phil Matera might have to take a good hard look at himself.
True.
Anyway, a couple of the boxers aren't here. A couple of suspensions as a result of last week, so I don't think we'll see the punch on. Well, there isn't the crosstown rivalry this week that we had last week, but boy, did they take it to the extremes last time. Anyway, it should be a great game, and D's fans will be on the edge of their seat.
Good on you, thanks for that, Drew. OK, boys, well, this afternoon's game, the Eagles, Guy McKenna, his last game of AFL footy, has been a sensational player, but in particular today, their backline, the West Coast Eagles, is pretty strong, Todd.
Yeah, look, their backline will have to be very good because the Melbourne forward line is star-studded. They've got Neitz, Schwartz, Farmer, Robertson and young Green's been very good. So, but their backline, McKenna, McIntosh, Peter Matera, Morrison and Young Glass, I mean, that is a very good backline, so they'll need to be at their best to stop the Melbourne forward line today.
There's not many times that your opponent has so many outs which has an impact on the game. Look at West Coast, they've got Michael Gardner out of the ruck. Now, he had to come up against Simons and also White, who are in very good form. They've lost Phil Matera, one of the small goal-kicking forwards, and they've lost 2 medium defenders in, who was it, Metropolis and someone, Reid. Now, they had to come up against the medium forwards of Melbourne, who are Robertson, Green, Bruce and Woewodin, all can kick goals, so every out that they've had is going to have a major impact on this game.
In particular, really, Phil Matera, I mean, he is a big loss out of this afternoon's game because he's been in sensational form all year, and I mean, Jeff Farmer really could be the difference.
Yeah, he's kicked 49 goals, Phil Matera, so Melbourne will be very happy to see him out, but knocked out by an umpire, that is a bit of a concern. But Jeff Farmer, 62 goals, and he's only a few away from, I think it's Adrian McAdam.
That's right.
68 goals in the season, who's the leading Aboriginal player to kick the most goals, and Jeff Farmer's after that today, hopefully.
Well, most of the papers have said that it was City Jackson's record that he was trying to break, but it was Adrian McAdam. That's why Collingwood tried to draft him in 1994, because he played, I think that was in 12 games.
It was only about 12 games he kicked the 68 goals, so it's a great record if Farnham actually gets it.
Yeah, look, I'm just a bit worried about whether West Coast can kick enough goals. Mitchell White's really the only recognised forward down in their forward half, and perhaps Peter Matera might just go down.
And what about Andrew Leoncelli last week? Sat on Gary Hocking and did such a good job and kept him to 2 second-half possessions, and really maybe this afternoon could get the job on Ben Cousins.
Yeah, look, it was an outstanding game from Leoncelli last week to really... didn't worry about his game, but had to shut down Hocking, who was in tremendous form. And he's the deputy vice captain of the Melbourne Footy Club, and it was just a super game for him last week. But I think perhaps Rigoni might get Cousins.
And Toddy, you talk about sometimes there's a rivalry between West Coast and Melbourne. Is it very intense?
It is. The two teams over the last 10 years. There's been a lot of history and they've absolutely hated each other.
I think the umpires have cost the West Coast this game.
Okay.
Phil Matera.
Yeah, fancy bringing in an umpire and missing some weeks. OK, we'll be back.
To the edge of the square. That's a great mark by Banfield, who's picking up Jeffrey Farmer. Here's Bluey McKenna for his first touch. The Eagles have started well. They're going right to left in the first quarter and have kicked the first 2 goals of the game. Andrew Donnelly from a free kick and Rowan Jones after an excellent mark. And so, against expectations, the Demons have come in favourites, but the Eagles have started well here. Schwartz, he hand passes away, picked up by Kemp. Kemp's been magnificent at the start of this game. The ball out in front of Callum Chambers. He loses control to Phoebe. Phoebe goes wide to Bruce. Bruce being picked up by Guy McKenna playing his last game. Not a great kick on the bounce to Neitz. Neitz gets rid of the hand pass. And Banfield in between Farmer and the ball works it to the boundary line.
Yeah, he's got such a big job today, Drew Banfield, picking up Jeff Farmer. As we said, he's a player who can just bob up. He might be able to keep him quiet for 2 quarters or so, but then he can just bob up and kick 4 or 5 in a quarter.
Travis Johnstone being worked on the bench. In the Demons forward line here, but it's cleared out of defence, and the Eagles, well, I don't know whether the Guy McKenna factor is working for them, but they're playing on top of Melbourne at the moment. And the Eagles have come into this game having won just 1 of their last 10 matches.
We saw Dean Kemp there. We saw Leoncelli picking up Dean Kemp, so obviously Neil Danaher pretty keen to try and negate the influence of Dean Kemp. And Chad Morrison and Uze are playing on each other out on a wing, so that'll be an interesting battle, and it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Game's been in progress for 6 minutes. It comes down to Uze. It was touched off the boot. Play on rules the umpire. It's on the 50. Punched out of defence by Djakovic. To Uze again. Up to full forward. Farmer in front. Flips to the back. Neitz. He's got Farmer. Neitz goes for the goal and misses it.
All the time in the world. And he'd be disappointed with that kick, David Neitz. Opportunity to get the Demons on the board straight away. Did a very nice dummy around Ashley McIntosh, but certainly could have done a little bit better than that. This has been a real problem for the West Coast Eagles. Has been their kick out in recent weeks. They've often gone long, and there's McIntosh going in that way again.
Oh, that might have been a free kick for pushing the shoulder to get that high in the air. But the whistle didn't blow. It comes to Djakovic. His kick towards the centre circle. And good contest there, Embley. Embley comes out wide towards centre wing to Morrison. Half-distance pass to Cousins, celebrating his 100th game, the young star. Inside the 50 again, the Eagles. Bounces off Donnelly. And worked to the boundary line by Ward out of bounds.
And the Eagles bench, guys, Simmons is there, and then 3 kids, Darren Glass, David Haynes and Adam Hunter. Adam Hunter in his first ever game.
Well, there's a few kids for the Eagles out on the park as well. They've got a lot of first-year players. Comes to Donnelly. To be quite honest, they're playing all over Melbourne at the moment. Ingerson takes the mark behind half-back. Jeff White gets himself out in the open. Defensive 50. He goes over the wing to Bruce. Bruce trying to run McKenna around. Guy McKenna hasn't played for 8 weeks. The hand pass into Woewodin. A youngster from East Fremantle back at home. Kicked by Wowie inside the 50. Oh, almost the mark low down to Neitz. The ball out towards the boundary line and taken over by McIntosh.
Yeah, they've certainly started off well with the West Coast Eagles early in this match. They're throwing everything at it, and obviously the Guy McKenna factor's working early. The main thing we just said, it'll be interesting just to see whether they can keep it up for 4 quarters though.
Throw in, Djakovic against Schwartz. They're certainly contesting very hard, the Eagles. Powell, ball pinned to him, and umpire Harvey comes in and is going to ball it up.
It was a very, very strong tackle there by Glenn Djakovic, and just take another look at it again. He has just absolutely wrapped Powell up. He wasn't going anywhere.
The wind out of Powell and the ball. Pretty congested down here on Melbourne's forward line. Melbourne, they've scored just 1 behind. Well, eventually Powell gets boot to ball, goes slightly backwards to Robertson, and the mark is paid even though the ball barely went 10 metres. Shocking kick by Robertson. McKenna, magnificent hands, and to the roars of the crowd, he kicks back towards centre wing. Punch forward for the Demons to Woewodin. He's ridden into the ground in a good tackle. Ball kept alive by the Eagles. And are they playing their lights out? McDonald gets a hand pass away. The kick towards the 50. Schwartz underneath it. It comes to Uze, who bursts through the pack. McKenna's grabbed him without the ball. And a free kick in front of goal against Guy McKenna. And Uze to shoot for the Demons' first goal.
And the crowd not too happy about their favourite son giving away that free kick. There's no two worries about that. Even Guy McKenna would have to admit if he watched that back on a replay that he gave that one away. He's a very dangerous player, is Uze. He's very good across the half-forward line and off a wingman. And for a wingman, he's a very attacking wingman. And Chad Morrison's going to need to get in between him and the goals, because otherwise Uze will just cut him up, because he has kicked quite a few goals this year, 30 so far.
42 metres from goal, straight home.
At Energex, we know ideas.
Back in the middle, Grgic off the ground, receiving treatment for blood. Oh, Dean Kemp with his 5th kick. What a start he's made to the game. To full forward, Donnelly middle of the pack. It comes to Mitchell White. Good tackle by Walsh. Ooh, Nicholson, some sort of hand pass. He gets it to Walsh, and they work out of trouble. Collins. Back to Nicholson. And the mark taken by Turnbull. He finds Morrison. Centering ball. And the hand pass to Green. Casey Green. It spills to Fletcher. Kick by Fletcher deep inside the 50. Peter Matera. Oh, he's dangerous here. The opponents went to ground, but Matera couldn't handle.
And it's surprising to find, Drew, Peter Matera is the Eagles' leading goal kicker out on the ground. He's kicked 20 goals this year without Cummings, without his brother Phil and Grgic.
Demons working the ball out of their defence. Melbourne trail after the Eagles have made a very good start. West Coast 2 straight goals, Melbourne 1-1. And this is against expectations. The Demons came in as favourites. Morrison's kick inside the 50 for the Eagles. Can't complete the mark. It's grabbed off the ground by Munro, who kicks a goal. Kane Munro in his 2nd game.
Well, the young fella will remember this for a long time. Not only is he playing in Guy McKenna's last game of his career, but it's his 2nd game. And he's bobbed up with a very classy goal, reading off the pack. I was just almost going to sort of note that how good Melbourne were been in the clinches. But so far, the Eagles have really been very good when the ball's been hitting the ground. And the young fella just swooped on that, no problems at all. And that'll give him a lot of confidence. And as a young player, that's all you need. You just need a few things to go your way very early in a game.
Kane Munro, the goal scorer, an 18-year-old from Victoria, from the Bendigo Pioneers. What a terrific goal. Out of the middle by Powell for the Demons, and that is an excellent mark taken by Woewodin. Woewodin kicked 4 last week in the Demons' victory over the Cats. He was best on ground, absolutely dominated, and he'll have to kick this from outside 50 to clear the man on the mark.
I'd say he'd be within his range, Shane Woewodin.
Oh, he's a beautiful kick.
Yep. They're playing a few games of reserves at Ishamel a few years ago. I always thought he had the class then, and it really has been a success story since he's moved to Melbourne.
Kicked it from about 52 or 3. Got the distance okay, but it's away to the left for a minor score.
And it really is a great story, a person like a Shane Woewodin who put himself up. He went over to Melbourne. He sort of said, listen, I'm just here to have a go. You know, would you mind giving me an opportunity? And he has just made the most of it. And it's just fantastic when you see young players like that who just go over and give everything they've got, not recruited or anything. Didn't cost them a lot of money, and he's just been a fantastic performer for the Melbourne Football Club.
Absolutely remarkable story. Give their best and fairest a shake. Comes to Uze. Oh, beautiful kick. And the mark to Neitz. Gets the hand pass away. Leoncelli gets the goal. Well, Melbourne have hit back and they trail by just 4 points. Jeff White wins in the middle. Can the Demons capitalise on his ruck knock? Down goes Leoncelli. Kemp is playing a game and a half. Away to Cousins. Kicked by Cousins towards half forward. Mitchell White beaten by Nicholson. Now the Demons have it. Toward the hand pass. Away to Jeff White. White over the wing. Well, Williams came to meet the ball. He did well to beat Bruce on that occasion. And Williams to the attacking 50. Ward takes it for the Demons. Not bad off the left hand. Collins, Phoebe. And through the middle, taken by Rigoni. Up towards half forward. Powell, beautiful. No whistle on the play. Bruce gets the hand pass. Jeffrey Farmer, and he drills one. Oh, it hits the post. It looked as though it had some right to left on it, and it just faded late.
And some of that class midfield of Melbourne starting to show through there. They've got a very good talented bunch of midfield players. Leoncelli, Woewodin, Rigoni, McDonald. Then you go forward, you've got Bruce, Neitz, Schwartz. Robertson can get in there and kick a goal.
Callum Chambers has just come off the ground for the Eagles, replaced by Adam Hunter, who was making his debut, a 19-year-old from Swan Districts. So have they got some first-year players, the Eagles?
Ooh, that was
a high tackle.
Yeah, no two worries about that one. Bit of a reckless one there by young Chad Fletcher. You just get the feeling, Drew, at the moment that Melbourne are just starting to take a little bit of control of that after the Eagles got off to such a good start.
Here's McKenna spoiling Robertson. Ball's there for the Eagles. Banfield gets it up to Morrison. Kick by Morrison. A lot of height in that, not much penetration. Ward takes the mark in front of Peter Matera.
That was very classy there to work himself in front of Peter Matera.
At the moment, Peter Matera struggling. Hasn't had a possession. Taken by Ward, short of the 50. McKenna doesn't climb, he waits down. Bruce is there, number 32. He's got it, Cameron Bruce. Hand pass not perfect. Schwartz, 40 metres out. And that's right as well. Another behind.
And just slowly but surely, they're just starting to take control here. Their midfield players are starting to get on top, although Dean Kemp's doing very well as opposed to Leoncelli. Kemp's had 6 possessions already, Leoncelli just the 1. But he's really doing all the work on his own at the moment.
McIntosh kicks in. Delivers the ball well. Mark taken by Williams. Short of centre wing. And they've found a little bit of space here, the Eagles. Kick by Green. Up towards half forward. Well, here's the goal scorer, Munro. Well done, son, again. 2 against 2. Donnelly. Spoil came from the back, Ingerson. Phoebe after it for the Demons. Matera gets his first touch. Back he goes. And a kick by Turnbull offline. I tell you, this Ward sweeping up, mopping up pretty well. Playing a top game back in the back line for the Demons. Comes to Rigoni. His kick to Robertson. Closed down by McKenna. And McKenna takes him out. In the most legal of fashions, rather than take him out, he took him over the line.
Well, that's just old classic Guy McKenna here. Didn't get confused. Just to make sure he kept his eye on the middle of the body, and the player wasn't about to go anywhere.
He wants to come off, and he is coming off now. Leaving McKenna off the ground for the first break.
So he's lasted 18.5 minutes at the start of his last game. I'm sure we'll see him back.
Adrian, do you think that's going to be a bit of a state of the play today? Guy McKenna coming on and off the ground?
I reckon he might rest now to the last quarter, mate. He was really blowing hard there, digging deep, the champ, but they were going to Russell Robinson every time to expose him.
Well, he did a top job, though, Guy McKenna. A kick and a hand pass, and he laid a tackle as well. Here's a chance for the Demons. Neitz bumbles it along the ground. Bit of a fumble in a dangerous position, but Banfield good enough. McIntosh, Williams. Kick by Williams to Mitchell White. Taken to ground illegally, and he'll take the free kick.
Well, he's come a long way up the ground to get his possession. Mitchell White, he's up around centre half back. Very smart, intelligent footballer. Here we can see the free kick. But the Eagles are certainly going to need to see more of him up around the half-forward line taking his grabs.
Simmons for the Eagles to half forward. Collins, gee, courageous mark. Then he played on and was pinged. Hembley, great tackle. Play on, says the umpire. Matera's in there fighting hard for it. And gets the ball out too. Woewodin uses his body well. Oh, and they worked it brilliantly through Phoebe. And Ward. Bruce. Taken to ground in Simmons' tackle. Flips out the hand pass. Schwartz. Good persistence by the Eagles, and nothing's happening easily for the Demons. Comes to Mitchell White, great kick, mark taken by Embley just outside 50.
Got Peter Matera free if he wants to use him. He should have went. I don't know if it's within his range, this, for Andrew Embley. Peter Matera was on his own, about 20 metres away. Sometimes you just got to quickly move the ball on.
Eagles lead by 2 points. Embley, 53 metres from goal, and home it goes.
You know, after a work injury.
Well, the crowd really coming to life. The umpire throwing the ball up for centre restarts because of relayed surface just in the centre circle. Melbourne have it. McDonald back to Uze. Kick by Uze. That's a free kick Melbourne's way. And it'll go to Powell. He plays on, I thought, over the mark. Uze goes wide. Farmer. Banfield's his man. Farmer. Still with Jeffrey. He played it well. Uze has been sensational. To the goal square. Crumbs wanted for Melbourne. Great desperation by Neitz. Crumbs come out. Robertson gets a goal. So it's back to a 2-point game. Entertaining start. Eagles 4 straight. Melbourne 3 goals 4.
Umpire's waiting for something here, Drew. He'll throw the ball.
So it's Turnbull up against Jeff White. Ryan Turnbull does the roving as well as the rucking. Up to half forward. Gee, that kid's going all right. Munro didn't get the ball that time, but he's really having a go. Just his second game. His first was last week in the war that was the local derby.
And if my memory serves me correct, I think he may have been involved in that melee where it cost him $2,000. So he basically played for nothing last week. But some of these young kids out there for the West Coast Eagles, the season's probably come to an end too short for them because they're just starting to get into it.
Ball comes down to Leoncelli. Back to midfield. Simmons. Ball's knocked to the front. Comes to White. Mitchell White comes wide to Embley. Embley takes his time. Delivers a pretty good kick down towards the forward pocket. Chance here for Hunter. Hunter applying the tackle, and eventually Walsh had to rush it behind.
He probably had a better option there, young Andrew Embley, to go short and sort of force the ball into the pockets. It's always a lot harder once the ball goes into their pocket to make a scoring opportunity out of it. But he's obviously changing on the ball with Dean Kemp. They're changing off a half-forward flank. He's now picking up Adem.
Steve Phoebe kicks in. That's dangerous. Uze takes the mark, but boy, is that a contested mark.
Yeah.
Oh, he felt it too. Saying to Steve Phoebe, thanks for the ball with the red cross on it. Kick by Uze, looking for Bruce, but it won't reach him. Mitchell White.
A lot of courage there, backing back into a situation like that.
Now to Fletcher. Turnbull. Eagles playing well. Kick by Ryan Turnbull. Matera gets one out. Oh, the man in front, Donnelly.
He caught it because I was actually looking at the situation with Peter Matera and the work that he was trying to do to get the mark. And Andrew Embley's just sort of come in from the front there. Just eyes on the ball. Donnelly, I should say. Eyes on the ball. And the Eagles could do with this goal just to sort of stretch their lead a little bit before quarter time. Only 3 minutes to go in this quarter. Leading by just 3 points at the moment.
Donnelly's kicked one already. And a perfect drop punt. Ball back in the middle, and it's now a 9-point lead to the West Coast Eagles. Melbourne, if they lose here today, they'll still get the double chance. They'll finish 4th, but they'll have to come up against the minor premiers Essendon next week in the first week of finals.
Peter Matera's come off the field. He's been replaced by young Haynes, another young Victorian who's having his first season with the West Coast Eagles. There's Guy McKenna sitting on the bench with Callum Chambers, and Peter Matera has just come off.
He hasn't had a great start. He hasn't had a kick, just 2 hand passes, Matera. Rigoni, beautiful kick. McDonald, bang, straight to full forward. You've got Robertson, you've got Jeff Farmer, and Farmer marks in front of Banfield.
And one of the problems too of having Peter Matera off is he's the leading goal kicker for the West Coast Eagles, so it makes it pretty hard, although they've done pretty well with 5 goals on the board. Speaking of goals, here he is, the Wizard. He's just an exciting player, playing in front, playing in the right position. Drew Banfield really didn't have many other options there.
Well,
he's a very good mark for a small player, isn't he?
Yeah. Just a sensational season. He's kicked a bag of 9, 1 of 8, and 2 of 7. And one of his bags of 7 was against Melbourne, first time round. And that's perfect.
Fellow Earthlings, take a good look around.
It continues to be a tight game here. Just a minute and a half to go to quarter time. Turnbull out of the middle, comes to Collins. Rigoni. Kick by Guy Rigoni to centre half forward. McIntosh there with Neitz. McIntosh goes the spoil, comes to Simmons, who's claimed. And umpire Harvey comes in and will ball it up.
Hey, Drew, what about the Eagles bench at the moment? Peter Matera, Guy McKenna, Glenn Jakovic, 3 pretty handy players. Jacko's still there with a split over the eye. They couldn't stop the blood flow.
Yeah, that's not a bad bench. Premierships galore, best and fairest. This is tight. Powell. Hand pass out into space. Neitz tries to go off the ground. Powell follows up. Woewodin in there as well. And it's a pretty shifting spot here on Subiaco Oval after the rain before the game and virtually all day yesterday, I hear. And the umpire will bounce it at centre half forward for the Demons.
A pretty experienced bench. Grgic 205 games, Peter Matera 217, of course Guy McKenna 267, so it's a lot of experience sitting down there.
Well, neither ruckman could get to it. Eventually Schwartz gets the hand pass out. Robertson on the turn with good distance. Farmer caught behind Banfield this time. And Drew Banfield, another country boy from WA.
Yes, a Queriting lad, and surprisingly his name hasn't been thrown up that much about the Eagles captaincy. We've heard a lot about Cousins and Jakovic, but he's another player, I reckon, whose name could be thrown into that category.
Well, there's the ball out of bounds. There's the siren for quarter time. Well done, the Eagles. They came in, unless you're absolutely one-eyed for the Eagles, not many gave them a hope, but they lead by 3 points at quarter time, 5-1 to 4-4. They're missing goal kickers of the calibre of Cummings, Grgic, Phil Matera, and yet somehow they managed 5 goals in the first term, 2 of them to Andrew Donnelly, and they outplayed Melbourne for the bulk of that first term. Guy McKenna started on the ground, lasted 16 minutes, then went to the bench. I think we'll see him again later in the day. This will be a better game than we might have hoped for. 131 to Melbourne's 4-4-28. The only multiple goal kicker, Andrew Donnelly, who's kicked 2.
The Coca-Cola AFL Premiership Season 2000, brought to you by Victoria Bitter. Mitsubishi Magna V6, one drive in your hooks. McDonald's, enjoy the fun and games. And Telstra, making life easier.
Game day for viewers in the East coming up at half-time with John Longmire, Todd Biney and Tony Shaw, and all the scores from the other games. Well, Perth had its war last week, Adelaide has theirs this week, and there's also Carlton-Richmond at the MCG. And at quarter time, long conversation going on between the retiring veteran Bluey McKenna and Ken Judge, the coach. Have we got enough beers in for the barbecue tonight? Judgy, what time will you get there? Anyway, I'm sure we'll see him back. Now here's Rob Wiley with Barra.
Thanks, Drew. Yes, Rob. Bluey McKenna done enough early. Will you see him again?
Oh yeah, he'll come back. He'll just have a sort of a few rests, and when he's right to come on, he'll come on, because he certainly goes the right still, doesn't he?
Pretty good start from the boys. You're pretty happy?
Oh yeah, it was a good effort. We would like a few more goals on the board, and they got a few easy ones. So we've just got to make sure we keep up the pressure and hopefully do the right thing by Bluey.
They'll come back at you now, the Demons, won't they?
Oh, they're a very good side, and as I said, we've just got to be focused and concentrating all day.
Good on you, Rob. Good luck. Thanks for joining us. Grgic back out there, Drew.
Stitches or staples? Do you get treatment?
It's an interesting setup with the West Coast Eagles at the moment for their forward line. They've got 2 players sitting back in the goal square, and then they've got 3 players across about the 40-metre line, and young Hunter's playing at centre half forward on his own.
Start of the second quarter here with the umpires. They'll throw it up all day in that centre circle rather than bounce on the newly laid turf. Good tackle by Kemp, who had an outstanding first quarter, 5 kicks and 1 hand pass. But probably the star was Adem, who had 9 possessions.
Yeah, opposed to Chad Morrison, who had 5 possessions, but probably Uzo was a little bit more damaging. Of course, he finished it off with 1 goal for the quarter. Another player's played well for Melbourne is Jeff White. He's completely dominating the hit-outs.
Well, White wins that one, but Cousins sharks it. Nicholson, the hand pass to Collins. Peter Matera, the good tackle. White, good running by Uzo again. The hand pass away from Powell, and Powell worked off it by Green. Morrison gets the hand pass in. Turnbull, good hands. Kemp, excellent. Simmons found a bit of space and goes along to a vacant goal square. If he gets the bounce, this could be handy. Didn't miss by much.
It was a smart move there, really, by Paul Simmons, because all the Eagles players and the Melbourne players had let out and basically just left an open goal square there. And as you said, Drew, had the ball bounced the right way, there was no one going to get back in time to stop it. And all the players, you can just see it there on the screen, just all huddling up in the centre of the ground. What they'll do is they'll break wide. It's worked pretty well for Melbourne. He'll go long to Woewodin.
This is Powell, ex-Bulldog. Wobbles one up towards centre wing. Jeff White with the punch. Mitchell White. We've got a couple of Whites. We've got a couple of Greens. We've got a couple of Simmons. It's a bit confusing here today. Turnbull down to the forward pocket. And the ball out in the forward pocket.
The Eagles bench, Drew, is now Chambers, and the guy McKenna's there, Darren Glass and Adam Hunter. Ben Jakovic did have some staples in his forehead and is now back out there with Swartz. Obviously, Peter Matera back at full forward.
Embley with a terrific hit out, but Phoebe chops it off. Comes to Ward, who gave it too much. Out on the full.
He's not happy either. Very disappointed with that kick out. This will give the opportunity for Andrew Donnelly to get his third goal on the board. He's having a look around. He's a little bit unsure about this kick.
He's a Subi boy. He should know this pocket. Oh, look at this. What a kick. And I think it's got there. Magnificent goal.
All right, so that is a good kick from Andrew Donnelly. You picked it right, Drew. You picked it right. He's a Subi boy, all right. He wasn't quite sure, though. He wasn't quite sure whether he wanted to have a go at that, and he didn't really get his boot into it. It's only just got across the line. The Melbourne boys coming in very close in line. Just take a look at this. This must have been very close. There you can see Uze. But I think his hand was definitely behind the ball. So the Eagles again getting off to a very good start.
Well, phenomenal goal by Andrew Donnelly from the boundary line. He's kicked his third, and the Eagles lead by 10 points. Kemp out of the middle again. Well, Melbourne are going to have to do something about Dean Kemp because he is flogging them out of there. And here's a free kick to be taken by Embley. Matera on the lead. Kick very wide. Not great for the forwards. Cousins keeps it in. And the ball run over. Let's have a look at Andrew Donnelly's shot for goal. And the Melbourne players claiming they touched it.
Yeah, the ball was over the line. I think that's what'll happen. The umpire's in the right position there to make the decision.
And that's a goal for mine. Ward gains about 20 or 30 metres. And the ball out of play. 6-2 to 4-4. Eagles in front.
Ken Judge will be very happy with young Rowan Jones at the moment because Shane Woewodin, who he said had 35 possessions last week, has only managed to pick up 3. Now he's playing out on the wing, so perhaps Danaher could use him on the board a little bit more. See if he can sort of get into the play.
It's solid in there. Jeff White with a tackle.
The Melbourne bench guys, as they started, Grgic is still there, Johnson, Green and Simons. They haven't had a change at all.
So we've seen quite a few changes with the Eagles bench and no movement at all from the Ds. Stephen Phoebe, the hand pass to Rigoni. Over centre wing with his kick. Djakovic in front, takes the mark. What an imposing figure he is. Kemp is running amok, Dean Kemp. Into Ben Cousins, celebrating his 100th here today. Kicked by Cousins. Embley charges at it. Matera just lays a little hand on it. Well, I thought the Demons had blocked it up, but it did spill out. Bruce missed with his kick. Taken by Powell to Phoebe. Phoebe up to Neitz, who can't complete the mark. Cousins is first back there for it, but the ball will win. Ben Cousins, 5 possessions so far. Having a bit of a puff at the moment.
Because he spent 5 weeks out with his injured ankle earlier on in the season. 100 games up. Well done.
Here's Woewodin. Can be so damaging. And good distance with a left footer. Farmer and Banfield having a wrestle. It comes to Bruce, who kicks a goal. Ball back in the middle. Jeff White with a big leap. It comes to Rigoni. And that's Bruce again, taking a good mark on Simmons. Bruce's kick. Robertson with a climb. A huge leap, but couldn't mark. Morrison for the Eagles. A hand pass behind the man he was looking for, Fletcher. Eventually they clear up towards centre wing, or just short of that position. It comes to the front, and the ball, Jones keeps it in.
Good shepherding there.
Walsh. Got some players free down the corridor here, the Demons. Schwartz gets around Djakovic. Doesn't mind it on the left boot. Hasn't kicked a brilliant Drop pump though. Farmer. Banfield got a hand to it. Well done, Drew Banfield. Schwartz again off the ground. Banfield once more. Played some to Grgic. Well done, Drew Banfield. Well, he's got a tough man to beat in Farmer, but he did it brilliantly then. Here's Bruce again. Can he be stopped? It's McDonald inside the 50. Here's Farmer. Taken down by Morrison. McDonald. With McIntosh back to Banfield. Well, they're moving the ball around pretty well, and Rowan Jones takes the mark at halfback. Good run by Simmons. Mitchell White. Great footy being displayed here by the Eagles. Chance comes out wide to Chambers. Pushing the back, yes. Donnelly the free kick. He'll be kicking for his fourth.
You're quite right, Drew. We haven't seen the Eagles playing and delivering the ball as well as what we have today. They've been very good at moving the ball on very quickly. Paul Simmons coming off, being replaced by young Haynes. Perhaps Bruce is just starting to get the better of him. And just the ability to bring the ball back through the centre corridor and then find the leading forwards. As we said, probably Donnelly has had a good return today already. 3 goals. And he's only had, he's had 4 possessions. 4 possessions, so he's getting pretty good return.
49 metres, a lot of height. Won't quite get there. And the mark taken by Ward. Well, just as well Melbourne have had him. He has played a game and a half. That's 8 possessions. He's taken 3 marks. Phoebe. And the mark to Nicholson. Another West Australian back at home, playing for the visitors. Kick by Nicholson, punch by Grgic. It comes to the front, overrun here by Fletcher. Kemp. Some great sterling performances being put on here. Kemp for the Eagles has been absolutely sensational.
10 possessions already.
Uze's had 10, and I've been singing the praises of Ward on the back line for the D's. Throw in at half forward. The ball's knocked forward by Haynes, who just came on the ground. Comes to White. Spent some time over here in Perth playing for the Dockers. And Neitz on his knees before he took the mark. Powell, open forward line now for Melbourne. Punch by Grgic to Morrison. Bursting through is Green for the Eagles. Grgic. Oh, well worked. Uze's a tough one though. Chambers with him. Uze again. And it didn't carry. No mark to Robertson. Comes to Rigoni. He's only 40 out. Guy Rigoni. And nails a goal. Have finally made their first change. Leoncelli off the ground with just 2 possessions, replaced by Travis Johnstone. That was a clever kick out of the middle by Uze, outside of his foot. Here's Johnstone. Slides the ball away to Grgic. Grgic to full forward. And the punch of the back by Williams, and the ball out of play.
Yeah, a couple of changes too.
Actually, Grgic already just beat him on.
Yeah, David Schwartz taken from the ground. Glenn Grgic getting the better of him.
It's interesting to see Jeff White and Ryan Turnbull playing off the ruck taps. They're leaving all the boundary throw-ins to either Andrew Embley or, in the Dockers, in the Eagles case.
Woewodin to Johnston from the boundary line. The goal umpire hasn't moved. I think he's kicked it.
Oh, that is a great goal. Yeah, he's just come onto the ground. And there's one thing you want to do. As soon as you get on the ground, you want to get yourself a possession. But I tell you what, coming onto the ground and getting a possession like that is just fantastic. Have a look at this. He's pressed right in on the boundary. There wouldn't have been any light whatsoever. And he has just threaded it straight through the middle. He'll be very, very happy with that. Have a look at this again. You can see Woewodin. He's been pretty well held by Jones. And he is just right up on the boundary line.
Unbelievable goal by Johnston, just on the ground off the interchange bench, and now Melbourne lead by 8 points. So for all the great efforts by the Eagles, they find themselves behind. Grgic, the kick from half back up towards half forward. Off the ground goes Collins. Grgic, good hands. And good vision. Uze's been a star for them. Kemp got a touch to it but couldn't stop it. Getting to Uze, who off the left goes bang and kicks another one.
Well, this is worrying times now for the West Coast Eagles. You sort of count the spaces around them when you get 2 goals in a row. And that's what they've been able to do. We just saw there Neil Danaher and Ryan Rule in the coach's box. Grgic has just come onto the ground. Already picked up 2 or 3 possessions early, and this man, along with Dean Kemp, have been by far the best players on the ground. And as I said, if you give this player too much room, he is going to tear you apart, and that's what he's doing at the moment. Just way too much room.
Well, Melbourne's use of the interchange bench has been sensational. Grgic a couple of quick possessions, Johnstone a couple of quick possessions, including a goal, and they've both only been out there a couple of minutes. In that time, Melbourne have kicked a couple of goals and have taken a bit of a break. Rigoni to White, floats one to Collins. Collins out wide, Uze got it again. What a game Adem is playing. That's 2 marks and 13 disposals now. Grgic, another touch. A high ball out towards the pocket. Robertson had a chance to mark. He's got a chance still. Knocks the ball in for Neitz. Neitz gets clear. And across the face of goal, out of bounds.
And young Kane Munro, who was playing on Uze, looks like he's going to be coming off the ground. And Guy McKenna is about to be replaced. I'd be surprised if they put him onto Uze, though.
Well, this is the danger part of the ground here for the Eagles. McIntosh clears, but it's still only 40 metres from goal. Turnbull spoiled by White. Rigoni's had nearly as much of it as Uze. It spills to Morrison. Good tackle. Rigoni nearly got him. The ball away to Embley. He's looking for the line, that's all. Johnstone can't keep it in.
And young Andrew Embley looks like he's got the job now of going over to pick up Adem. The problem with the Eagles, Drew, is they just don't have any tall forwards to kick to, or all players down the ground. They're the second least side to take marks in the AFL, so when they're looking upfield, they're not going in with any confidence. They've really got to try and run the ball up there. That's why they need a lot of their midfield players to be around the ball and offer support.
Melbourne 8 goals 4, the West Coast 6 goals 2. Grgic, has he been fired up?
No one was picking him up.
Robertson, good mark. Oh, he didn't complete it. Works the ball back. And Uze again.
Whoa, it's the Repco Big League font.
Ball back in the middle, and Melbourne taking a real march on this game now. They work it forward from the centre circle, but Cousins chops it off. It was going to be an Eagles free. Advantage to Cousins, who kicks well, to Mitchell White. Cousins going past for another go at it. He's cornered here by Nicholson. Hoisted high. Oh, good mark.
Oh, that is fantastic mark. That is a very, very good mark. Mitchell White, who loves to play on as quickly as possible, probably put Ben Cousins under a bit of pressure, and then Cousins was forced to really kick over a couple of opponents, but Andrew Donnelly, that really is a good mark.
Well, so far he's had 5 kicks for 3 goals, and this is just about gimme distance.
Well, you can see his efficiency, the 80%. You'd like that from all your key forwards.
4 goals to Donnelly. Well, Donnelly has kicked 3 goals, and there have been 4 goals rather, and there have been 3, I'll get it right in a minute, 3 other goal kickers for the Eagles. So they've been spreading it around okay. McIntosh, ball punched to the front to Cousins. And pass in, comes to Fletcher. He's buried. Lost it. Woewodin has it for the Demons. Into Johnston. Kick by Johnson. Oh, it travels like a bag of wheat. Comes to Neitz. Hand pass. Powell. It covers them for another goal.
Yeah, it's all a bit class, and that's that midfield dominance that Melbourne have so many players. We saw Woewodin involved in it. Powell, who's been a very good player. Uze, who's just been so dominating in this game. And they're just getting now just too many runners around the ball. And they're very good in the clinches. They're very good at giving the handball out. They're actually the 3rd highest handballing side in the competition. And that's where you've got to be very careful. If you've got a player running past, they're going to feed it out to him.
Well, the Demons have kicked 6 goals straight in the second quarter in 18 minutes of football. White up for a week. Comes down to Morrison, though, for the Eagles. He dashes out. Was it White or Simmons in the ruck? See Simmons on the ground. Was Simmons. Comes to Mitchell White of the Eagles. And that might have been a bit late by Donnelly on Phoebe. And Nicholson reacted to it. It's a 50-metre penalty against Andrew Donnelly.
Jeff White had just been so dominant. There wasn't too much in it.
So Simmons on the ground. Troy Simmons for Melbourne to give Jeff White a bit of a rest. Grgic has had a possession of minutes since he's been on. To centre half forward. McIntosh hands to the ball, comes to the back, and it's cleared out of there by Williams. Melbourne have it though. Rigoni coming up for his 11th kick. Into Travis Johnstone, who was sparking like Grgic since he came off the bench.
It's not bad, is it, when your bench players can come on and almost be the best players for your side. That's a great pass.
And Neitz takes the mark about 40 metres from goal. Well, there's a bit riding on it for these blokes who started this game on the bench. None of them got a run in the first quarter. They know there's a final series coming up. They want to be in the 18, not the 22.
That's right.
And they certainly don't want to be a fringe player around the 22. So they've definitely come on and said, hey, coach, I'm ready to play in the finals. Give me a game.
We saw Neil Danaher talking before the game saying that, they want to go into the finals with some form. And tell you what, on this form today, they're looking very promising. Neitz has already kicked himself 17 goals so far this year.
Kicked 5 last week, David Neitz. Oh, unloads, and that's 7 straight for the turn.
Which would you trust to operate?
Jeff White's back on the ball for the Demons and wins it to Rigoni, who bursts out of the middle. Look at this, a training drill for Melbourne. It comes to Powell, who kicks it to Farmer, and Jeffrey's got it.
How good was that?
Oh.
How good was that? The ball has gone up. It virtually hasn't touched the ground. They've had 3 possessions, and you've got Jeff Farmer lining up for goal.
Just scintillating football by the Demons.
And if you were playing them next week, you'd be certainly taking a lot of notice of how they're going about this, because they have been so dominant out of that centre square.
Well, Carlton have got their own agenda today, but they'll be watching the tape. There might be something to worry about. Farmer kicks the goal.
And again, as I mentioned, it's that midfield. Rigoni, Powell, they've got Woewodin, they've got Leoncelli, they've got Uze, they've got McDonald. You keep naming, the players just keep bobbing up. Grgic has come onto the ground. Johnstone. And of course, then you go forward. You've got Neitz, Schwartz, Robertson. Uze's gone through and kicked some goals, and then this little fella, Jeff Farmer, and Drew Bamford, he's right there with him, but he's just so hard to take on.
Robertson off the ground for the Demons, replaced by Brad Green. What a term this has been by Melbourne. They've kicked 8 straight, and the Eagles have kicked 2 goals, both through Andrew Donnelly. Woewodin's pass is absolutely perfect to Green. And bench players, they come on the ground and get a touch in the first minute. It's happened time and again. And McKenna spoils Jeff White. And Guy McKenna playing his last game. He rested the second half of the first quarter. Back in business now. Well done, Bluey. Every time he goes near it, the crowd going berserk. He's one of their favourites. Rigoni, is he having a game? Ball out of play.
We just saw that though, Rigoni, the way that he was able to get underneath the ruck tap and be a moving player, moving target at the same time. A lot of players just stand underneath, are very flat-footed. But Rigoni is moving. It's very hard to stop a player in that situation.
Well, Rigoni's had 15 possessions. Uze has had 14 possessions. And we've still got 7 minutes remaining to half-time. Nobody else is within cooey of those two. Comes to Morrison. Up towards centre wing. And the youngster couldn't quite take the mark. Ball out in front. It's taken by Phoebe. The youngster I was talking about was Haynes. And the ball goes out of play. Haynes playing just his 7th game from the Geelong Falcons.
Very young side out there today, the Eagles, with the likes of Hunter, Jones, Chambers.
And Haynes straight off the ground just then, replaced by Kane Munro, who's playing just his 2nd game. Johnston. Oh, Neitz, had his name written all over it from a long way out.
You could see that coming, couldn't you? It was just all set up for him. The Eagles players have just they've just really got to tighten up. They're just giving too much room now to the Melbourne midfielders. They've got to just take their space. They're allowing Melbourne to dictate their own terms. They're standing in front. They've got to take their spot.
We've already had 9 individual goal kickers. Neitz, that's left and stays left. He's kicked 1 goal too.
It's a pretty good return, really, isn't it? 12 goals, 5. The amount of ball that's been coming down, certainly putting a lot of pressure on the Eagles' defence.
Well, the sponsors have been handing out placards here saying, "Thanks, Bluey," and they're all being held up in the outer as Bluey McKenna prepares to kick in after the behind. Great start. Kemp not going as well as he was earlier. And, well, Uze's worst kick for the day. Very high, not much penetration. Morrison a mark. Morrison in short to Banfield, running off Farmer. Kick by Banfield, good mark to Embley. Kemp at half-back for the Eagles. Woewodin nearly gets him. Kemp. Good spoil from the Melbourne player who was in no position to take the mark. It comes to Cousins. Donnelly's kicked 4, and he's got the run on Simmons here. Well done by Troy Simmons. Goes to the line, pretty deliberate. The crowd saying, how about a free? They're throwing.
Well, the Eagles have made a move with Guy McKenna coming on to help out their defence. Ashley McIntosh has now gone forward to see if he can help stem the flow of goals that Melbourne have just been kicking in abundance in this quarter.
Embley bursting through and gets clear for the shot at goal but misses.
It's a bit like I was talking about a minute ago with Rigoni. You know, if you're on the move when you get the ball and from a boundary throw-in, you're going to be very, very hard to stop. So far, Melbourne have been doing it very well. They've had 9 clearances from throw-ins compared to the Eagles' 3. They really have probably been winning all over the ground in most areas.
Stephen Phoebe kicks in. Simmons has got the height on Matera. And Peter Matera's had a very strangely quiet day here so far today. He's had no kicks, 3 handballs, Peter Matera. He's in that ruck contest, so I don't know he's going to get a kick there. Comes to Embley, the hand pass, and this should be a goal to the Eagles. Kicked on the run by Chambers.
Well done, Callum Chambers, on the move. Played pretty impressive last week too against the Dockers. He's another young player. His probably career's a little bit on the line. He's had a terrible run with injuries. You can see how the ball's just tapped forward. And as I said, Chambers on the run. Always very hard to stop a player who's moving. And he's part of that young brigade along with Glass, Munro, Haynes, Hunter, Fletcher, Green. Probably are the future of the West Coast Eagles.
Callum Chambers, the goal scorer for the Eagles, playing in his 6th game, a 20-year-old from Gippsland Power. Parents might proudly be watching him on TV over in Victoria today. Powell's kick smothered, comes to Woewodin. He was in trouble, but he had time to pick out the best option. Knocked on by McDonald. Look at the pace of Rigoni. Green tap on Uze. Magnificent play by Melbourne down the corridor. And another hand pass for Matera. He cannot get a kick. Grgic comes out wide. And the mark taken out here by Jones.
Ken Judge must have heard you because he's moved Peter Matera now onto the ball to see if he can get a few possessions, Drew.
Kick by Jones. 2-1 Melbourne. They should get the ball. Walsh works it forward. Comes to Ingerson. Short pass is out on the full. That's a shocker. He hasn't had much practice. He's only had 2 touches today. Ingo. Free kick to be taken by Jones. Nicholson works to the front. Ingerson as well. McDonald's hand pass. And it finishes up with Johnson from Ward. Johnson. Here comes Matera. Rigoni's got it. And once Matera committed himself and went past the ball, it's wide open for the D's. Rigoni's kick with distance. Neitz!
That's a good mark.
Hello, Farmer and Banfield having a bit of a dip just behind this play. Some of these blokes have got more money than sense.
Yeah, they didn't learn from last week because it was a very, very fiery contest here in the Western Derby. And again, Rigoni's been so good down through that corridor. He's been instrumental in getting the ball down there. That is a great mark. Backing back under a lot of pressure from Grgic.
Djakovic did himself no favours by having Schwartz removed, because now he has to play on David Neitz. Tougher proposition.
Neitz, he's kicked 1 goal, 2 after 5 goals last week. Only about 30 metres from goal. Well, they can't miss the Demons.
The rumour mill's in overdrive.
Well, Melbourne have kicked 9 goals, 1 for the term. The Eagles 3 goals, 2. There's plenty of time for the D's to complete a 10-goal quarter here. But it comes to Cousins. His hand pass to Kemp, who made a brilliant start to this game, Dean Kemp. He's up to 13 possessions now. And the short pass is well delivered. Cousins goes past to get the ball back from Fletcher. Kicked by Cousins high. Plenty of Melbourne players there. Eagles as well. Ball in the forward pocket. Put to the top of the goal square. That was from Munro. Ward for Melbourne. Look, he left it for a teammate. Simmons under pressure. And the umpire is going to ball it up.
Some good signs there. Some of the young kids there for the West Coast Eagles. Still young Munro. Looks like he's certainly got what it takes to make it in the big league. Hunter's been pretty impressive today.
Chance for the Eagles to get a late goal in the second quarter. Ball comes to Mitchell White. He's buried by Nicholson, the former basketballer. And the ball out of play.
Jeff White just completely dominating his battle with Ryan Turnbull. He's had 15 hit-outs to Turnbull's 4.
Well, Michael Gardner might have been a bit handy today for the Eagles, but he's got rubbed out last week. And the umpire's injured. The umpire's limping. He wanted to dash in and signal I'll ball it up, but he can hardly get there, Michael Bozzo. And John Harvey's going to have to come in and take the ball off Bozzo. Don't see this too often. Oh, he says, I'm okay, Johnny. Just less than 2 minutes to go to half-time. He might need a rub down during the break. This will be an interesting bounce. Oh, he did well. White again, brilliant. Oh, McDonald down the line. Outside the 50 to Powell. They want to play on at all costs. Nicholson out wide to Phoebe. Phoebe a hurried kick. Now it's a contest. Woewodin works his man off the ball. Bruce did well. Powell playing an attractive brand of football, Melbourne. And of games we've seen recently with the flooding of backlines, it's an absolute pleasure to see both the Eagles and Melbourne playing this brand of footy.
That's right, and Melbourne just very good at just being able to use their handball to break it up and get themselves out of the tight clinches. And the main reason that's because they've got players to run, they've got players to feed it out to. They're a very good running side.
Not once have we seen the players getting up to one half of the ground like we've seen in so many other games. McDonald's kick to centre half forward. Grgic tries to wrestle off his opponent. He comes up with the ball. Eagles free. Morrison, take a kick. We're in the last minute of the first half here. Chad Morrison for the Eagles. They trail 13-5 to 8 goals 3 after a 9-goal quarter here by the Demons in the second term. Turnbull up to McIntosh. Switch to the forward line. A spoil by Ingerson, but the ball comes down to the front to Munro. He might get it back again. He does. Young Kane Munro in his second game. To full forward. Chance for the Eagles here. Oh, but he just couldn't get boot to ball. Hunter.
Well done, Melbourne defence.
And Ward dashes out of defence. Up towards Adem, who's just played an absolute phenomenal first half. 14th kick. Bruce. This is Melbourne's best quarter against the West Coast Eagles. Farmer is spoiled by Banfield. There might be time for a goal, but the ball's knocked over the boundary line. And I think that effectively will end the scoring for the half. Well done, McKenna again. Guy McKenna, 1 kick, 2 hand passes, a tackle in this first half in his last game. Jeff Farmer, I think, wanted to go on with it, and then he realised, oh, I couldn't do it to a legend of the game. And there's the siren for half-time. Demons well on track to cement third place on the ladder and play Carlton next week in the first week of the finals. 13-5, 83 to 8 goals 3, 51. It was scintillating footy, wasn't it, mate?
Very, very good. Very impressive from Melbourne, and that's why they are sitting in third position on the AFL ladder, and they'll go into next week obviously going to take on Carlton in very, very good form. Neil Danaher was made that point before the start of the game that he wanted to make sure his players had a good game today. He knew they'd be up against the Guy McKenna factor. The Eagles came out strong in that first 10 minutes of the first quarter, but other than that, it really has been all one-way traffic for Melbourne. They've been very strong through the midfield, Drew, and the Eagles are just going to have to tighten up on a lot of their players.
And has Peter Matera ever played a half of football where he didn't get a kick?
I don't think so, but it's been a little bit of the story that way with the Eagles this year. We've seen a lot of their players haven't had their best seasons, and he's been one of them, but I'm sure he'll be back in the second half. At the moment, though, Melbourne leading 13-5 to the West Coast Eagles 8-3.
The other game played this afternoon, the West Coast Melbourne game, and Todd Viney now run us through a few of the first half highlights.
Yes, John, it's been a very good first half of footy from both teams. This bit of play here, just have a look at Adem, who's in really special form at the moment. Went up for the mark, didn't quite get it, but his recovery is special. And then he passes, hits David Neitz on the lead. Quick handball over to Leoncelli, which is very slick footy, and Leoncelli goes and kicks a goal. Jeff Farmer has been very exciting. Last week wasn't in great touch, didn't kick a goal, but this week in front, Anthony McDonald kicks the ball in and just gets on the right side. Drew Banfield's manned him up all day and just gets in front at the right time, goes back and kicks a goal. That's his 63rd goal for the year. He's trying to get 68 and he'll be the leading Aboriginal goal scorer ever. So this one here, Travis Johnson, well, this is why he was taken as the #1 draft pick. Kicks it on the boundary, a very tight angle, very good player. Mitchell White coming forward here, gives it to Cousins. Well done by Alison Nicholson to try and zone him on that, but have a look at this mark. Donnelly was in very good form, kicked 4 goals in the first half and had Anthony Ingerson removed from him. Troy Simmons has now come on to him, but 4 goals in the first half, it was very good. Jeff Farmer just thought he'd have a little bit of a rest here. Just have a bit of a rest on the goalpost. And here we see young Callum Chambers, who is a very young player, comes on under a bit of pressure but steadies and kicks a nice goal for the West Coast Eagles. There it is, West Coast 8-3-51, trailed the Demons, 13 goals, 5-83. Kemp was very good with 14 possessions and 4 clearances, and Rigoni, one of the unsung heroes in midfield for the Demons, has had 17 possessions.
Well, Toddy, the forward line of Melbourne, they looked a bit top-heavy in the first quarter, but Schwartz was taken from the field and it worked in the second quarter for them.
Yeah, they started with Schwartz and Neitz down there as key marking targets, but the Demons bombed it in and really into the hands of the West Coast Eagles. Jakovic just loves it when it's bombed in, and so does McIntosh. They went with a smaller forward line, which meant David Schwartz, the vice-captain of the team, was off the ground for the entire second quarter, but they did have a much better and more productive forward line in that second quarter.
And Toddy, Jeff White, I mean, clearances, he won the clearances 16-5 in that half, and also 12-9 as far as the hit-outs are concerned, so it was a big half to Jeff White.
Yeah, look, first quarter I was a little bit critical. Jeff White was tapping the ball forward, getting his hand to the ball, but he was putting it straight down Dean Kemp's throat and had a lot of the ball. But 23 hit-outs to Jeff White is really on top of Ryan Turnbull in the middle of the ground.
Now, Ingerson having 4 goals kicked on him in a half, it's a bit of a problem for the D's. It's one area where that could be the weakness at the moment. They're playing pretty good football.
The backline's been very good touch, but I guess Anthony Ingerson has been known to be hot and cold and a little bit average today so far.
And welcome back to Subiaco Oval. During the halftime break here, we had a song sung, The Wind Beneath My Wings, and a tribute to Guy McKenna, and there'll be a further tribute to him after the full-time siren. But so far, Guy McKenna and the Eagles are doing it pretty tough at the moment, because Melbourne kicked 9 goals, 1 in that second quarter, and they lead 13-5-83 to 8-3-51. Andrew Donnelly stepped up. He's kicked 4 for the Eagles. But what about Melbourne? Uze, a magnificent first half, included 3 goals, Neitz 2 and Farmer 2.
7 Sport hope you're enjoying this match as part of the Coca-Cola AFL Premiership Season 2000.
Let's have a look at some of the stats that we had in the first half. And just as well for Donnelly, he's kicked 4 of the Eagles' 8 goals, and he's done particularly well. Kemp made a great start, 13 possessions to half-time.
Yeah, young Kane Munro, he's done pretty well for himself. He's had 6 possessions, but the Eagles just really not getting enough of the ball. They've only had 5 players that have had more than 10 possessions, as opposed to Melbourne, who have 8. So they really just not getting a lot of their midfield players. Chad Morrison's hasn't done too bad, although he's probably played off his man. Ben Cousins tried. And have a look at the stats of some of those players for Melbourne there. Uze 16, Rigoni 17, Powell 15. I mean, that's your midfield players. That's just a lot of ball. I think they've had something like 18 more possessions, and that really accounts to 1 sort of extra player in the half, Drew.
Yeah, and on a day when Woewodin hasn't had all that much, 11, not bad, but not his usual output, and somebody like Leoncelli's had just 2, some of the other midfielders have dominated. Adrian Barrage.
Thanks, Drew. Yes, Guy McKenna is actually out on the ground playing on Travis Johnson for this second half. How's that for a contrast? The guy retiring and the guy starting his career. Looking forward to a great second half.
Bounce to start the second half, and once again Jeff White wins it. Down to Powell, a high ball to half forward, and good defensive mark taken by Williams. He finds Morrison in support. Morrison's drop punt is good. Pressure put on at the back by Walsh. Socket forward, and Grgic has moved to the forward line, has taken the mark. He kicks inside the 50. White at the back couldn't mark. Matera overruns it. Mitchell White's got another chance. He's run down on the tackle. It comes back to Phoebe. And a bumbling kick along the ground by Simmons, out of bounds. Well, Peter Matera just ran straight over the top of that ball. Just can't get it.
And Casey Green's now got the dangerous job of playing on Adem. He's had 16 possessions and 3 goals in the first half, so he's got a big job ahead of him.
And Grgic in there fighting for it. He's on the forward line to start this second half. Of course, they're missing so many goal kickers. Out is Cummings, who's also missing Grgic. Phil Matera, who will be the leading goal kicker for the season. He kicked 49. Simmons wins for Melbourne. Mitchell White has it for the Eagles. Discipline back to the top of the square. Phoebe missed it. Trouble. Matera might get his first kick. Now he goes the hand pass again. He puts the ball out wide. And a little kick there by Munro. And they've lost control of it. And Uze marks just inside the line, but it had gone out of bounds. And we'll have a throw in.
We're seeing Jeff White now head down to take the ruck tap, while Ryan Turnbull's just going to play as a bit of a safety man, kick further back.
From the throw in, Grgic in ruck. He's got it. Bang, palms off a defender. It's high, and it's a Melbourne free kick. Well, he gave the great don't argue. Not too happy with the decision. And the hand pass taken by Ward, and Melbourne can run it out of defence. Phoebe goes wide to Walsh. Kemp with him. Oh, great mark. Just picked his opponent out. Dean Kemp coming up for his 12th kick. Inside the 50. Ingerson can't mark. Out of trouble. Ward to Walsh. Good running by Powell, who with Uze and Rigoni has been sensational. White back to Rigoni. Grgic. And fumbles it.
Drew, the Eagles bench now, Paul Simmons, Andrew Embley's there, David Haynes, Adam Hunter, and just at half-time, the Eagles asking their players to dig deep for Guy McKenna. This game could blow out otherwise. In particular, players like Peter Matera have played a long time with him.
Woewodin actually took clean possession out of the boundary throw-in. Back to Powell. Centering ball. Tried to kick it out of the air, and the whistle's gone. There's a bit of holding going on against Green, and the free kick to Morrison. Takes it quickly, and the mark's taken by Jones. Here come Melbourne again. Nicholson. Green. Well, this is the bloke who was captain of Australian underage cricket team to England. Also tried out for Manchester United. Could have been anything. Decided to go with football, and his first season in the AFL has been a good one. This is his 17th game, so well done.
He's kicked 20 goals, so he's been a handy player. It's his first year. We'll go close to Norwich Rising Star. So he's been a shining light for Melbourne this year.
50 metres from goal. Oh, how well has he kicked the Sherrin? John Harvey restarts in the middle. Jeff White wins his millionth hit out. Hand pass to Uze. He just gets boot to ball out in front of Woewodin. Hurried left footer up towards the 50. Green with Morrison. And the ball out.
And both sides again just going with one out players in their full forward positions. Farmer's got Banfield down in the goal square, and Donnelly's playing on Simmons.
And this is one of the few games I've seen this season where there are 18 pairs of players around the ground. Neither team's gone for a loose man in defence. Some games I've seen this year, they've had 2 and 3 loose men. They've had you know, 3- and 4-man forward lines.
Which, you know, you'd like to think that the Eagles should be picking up their men a little bit closer because, you know, some of the midfield dominance of the Melbourne players has been quite supreme today. And if they are just playing man on man, then they're just allowing them to have that little bit too much room to get hold of the ball, Drew.
Mitchell White couldn't keep the ball in. It's out at centre wing.
Drew, interestingly, Ashley McIntosh preferred on David Neitz this half, and Djakovic going to centre half forward. David Swartz still on the bench.
Woewodin tried it again in the ruck. This time couldn't get it. Chambers got a little touch in there, but Melbourne have it now as Rigoni's hand pass comes out, scooped up by Powell, who's playing a big game as well. Powell's kick. Farmer waits at the back. McKenna, a little hand pass away. And the ball cleared by Williams. Over the boundary line, so it's been a bit of a scrappy start to the third quarter.
Melbourne were very dominant in the first half, getting it inside their 50. They had it 35 times in there to the Eagles 24, so they're just getting a hell of a lot more of the ball into their forward line, obviously creating more scoring opportunities.
Kick by Cousins, close to the boundary line and out on the full. So Ben Cousins is celebrating his 100th game. He actually needs 2 goals in this game to bring up 100 goals in his 100th game.
It's not bad, is it, a goal a game for a midfielder? It's a pretty good return.
He hasn't looked like it today.
It's a good mark if it's going to be paid. Yep.
Paid to Neitz. Brute strength. The lead by Green. Farmer waits late. Neitz has gone for the big torp. Ugly looking kick. It gets behind. Just gets over the behind line.
Boom. That was a lucky one there, because if anybody's going to get back on it quick enough, it's going to be the Wizard. Drew Banfield just picking off the a bit of an indifferent kick really from Neitz. He tried to play on a little bit too quick. He just didn't sort of connect with it properly.
Ashley McIntosh in short. Banfield. Morrison. Well worked out of defence. Any number of Eagles out here. This is Green, Casey Green, playing his 6th game in the AFL. Bit of distance with the kick. White, spoiled by Nicholson. McKenna gets the ball away to Fletcher. Matera in looking for his first kick still. Ingerson's got it for Melbourne. And pass is good. McDonald. Across the half-back line short to Uze, just building on his stats. Coming up for his 15th kick to Walsh, the flaming redhead. Up to centre wing. Uze goes back. Grgic. Very high ball. Mark that and play fair. Neitz charges at it. Comes to the front. Woewodin's a show. Pushed off it in the middle of the back, I would have thought. No whistle on the play. And I think that Rowan Jones got away with murder then, but it'll be a boundary throw-in.
He's done very well, though, on Shane Woewodin. He's had 13 possessions, but certainly hasn't been really dominant.
Neitz and McIntosh.
That's a good tackle. Yep.
Yeah, throw, says umpire Harvey.
It was a very, very good tackle. If you're going to lay one on, take their hands away and don't allow them to be able to use them.
Grgic looking for Farmer. Here's Jeffrey, one out with Banfield. Farmer, he plays on and gets the goal. Was kicked today for Carlton at the MCG against Richmond, but there's a chance that Farmer might go ahead of him and be the 2nd leading goal kicker in the whole competition, which is not bad for a forward pocket. The umpire comes in and will ball this up. Umpire number 8 is Brent Rosebery, the youngster from Western Australia, who was given his first game earlier in the season. And still a teenager. Real youngster. Star of the future in the umpiring ranks. Nicholson comes to Ward, now Phoebe. Phoebe's kicked wide. And the ball taken, I thought it was taken all the way to the line. In fact, Phoebe got there. And the ball was kept in by Bruce. Ward taps the ball across. Djakovic doing the tackling. Well, good persistence here by the Eagles. Glenn Djakovic from 50. Mighty kick, but offline and out of bounds on the full.
Yeah, you're right there, because Melbourne really had sort of control of the ball, and they did very well at keeping it in. Very good in the close-in clinches of Melbourne, especially getting the hard ball gets. They got it 27 times to the Eagles, 15 in that first half. So they're just that more desperate when it's a one-on-one situation. The Eagles just got to be a little bit more physical and a little bit more aggressive at the ball.
a team that's in the last couple of years lost the likes of Jim Steins, Todd Viney, Gary Lyon. They haven't had much from Stephen Tingay in a couple of years. They're going all right. Djakovic, ball chopped off by Ward. These youngsters for Melbourne have really stepped up. Johnstone, good gather. Powell. And Simmons off the left up towards midfield. Guy McKenna. Good spoil put on by Bruce. The hand pass too high for Rigoni. McKenna the hand pass to start something up here. Comes to Fletcher. And now onto the chest of this youngster Munro in his second game going all right. And finds Djakovic. Well, Munro's the best of the youngsters that I've seen of the Eagles here today. From the Bendigo Pioneers. He's only 18 years of age.
Yes, and Guy McKenna setting that up there, even though his last game, he's in there giving it a go. Originally sort of got it out there to young Munro. And Glenn Djakovic, who we don't often see down into the forward line. He's managed to get 3 goals this year. Although he's kicked 5 points too, so loves a shot on goal as Glenn Djakovic.
Taking the Dennis Lilly run-up. And get inside the 50 or right on the 50. Oh, he's kicked it well. And it's a boomer! Jacka!
The Mitsubishi Triton has a lot.
Well, that's the Eagles' first goal of this second half. Melbourne earlier kicked 2 goals in this third quarter. Leoncelli's just not having a great day. He paddles the ball backwards, which wasn't great. Grabbed by Jones. Matera! No, sir. Not Peter's day today. Nicholson. Ball pinned.
I'm just looking over the screen. It is just hard to imagine that Peter Matera hasn't had a kick. He's had 5 handballs, so it's not like he hasn't touched the ball. It's
what was it? 5 goals from the wing in the grand final win?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Cousins burst through. Ben Cousins from 49 metres. That's a good kick too. Another one.
Well, what we're done to the Eagles, because they've kept themselves in this game. They're still 5 odd goals behind, but they haven't allowed Melbourne to basically kick away because there really is nothing left for him. There he is, Guy McKenna. Once again, just coming off. He's done his little bit. Around about the same time, about the 13-minute mark. 10 minutes to go in this quarter. And Cousins, he's had an indifferent day. Hasn't been his dominant sort of self. He's still picked up 13, 14 odd possessions.
So Guy McKenna to the interchange bench again. His stats: 1 kick, 5 hand passes, and he's laid a tackle. That was Ben Cousins' first goal today, so he's got 99 goals in 100 games. Here he comes again. Eagles having a good few minutes here. Cousins to the goal square. It gets to the back. Grabbed by Ward, who's been a top defender for the Demons. To Rigoni, who's been brilliant. He's got Jeff White out wide, draws a man, and Turnbull left in White's wake. Kicked by White with distance. Neitz! Farmer's there. Well, good hands, Robertson. And it might have bounced off a shin out of bounds on the full, but I think it might be a throw-in. Let's see a little replay of that. There's Guy McKenna. Well, he's defying the surgeon's advice to play here today with his back problem. No, it didn't come off a shin or a foot. But probably Guy McKenna struggling with lack of match fitness. Hasn't played for 8 weeks. Chance here for the Eagles to break again. Williams and the Eagles having one of their best spells in the game. Woewodin, though, a good mark.
Pretty courageous in that situation, be back and back, because you know a player's going to be coming and you're just waiting for that hit.
Kicked by Woewodin for Neitz with McIntosh. At the back, great hands by Bruce. Robertson, Jeff White with space, and he bangs for goal but hooks it.
So a good day out, Jeff White. 24, 25 taps, 23 in the first half. He's had another couple this quarter. He's definitely had the better of the battle with Ryan Turnbull. You can just see here what's on offer for Ashley McIntosh. There's nothing in short. He's basically going to have to go long.
McIntosh's kick. I'm not sure that's where he meant it to go, but Chambers takes the mark to Morrison. And clever tap on. And here come the Eagles again. The hand pass up the ground was good by Munro, and it spills now to Fletcher. And out in front, Djakovic, he might kick his second.
That was great vision there from young Chad Fletcher. He's on his left foot, so realistically he had to really hook the ball around. And I've been very, very impressed with young Munro. I think he's had a very good game today. Shows a lot of maturity. And Glenn Djakovic again. We saw earlier on the pre-season that Ken Judge tried him out at centre-half forward. Didn't probably quite work for him. But today's a good day to just throw a few things around and try them out.
That 40 metres out.
Oh, he's hooked that one. He'll be disappointed with that.
So he's got a full house. 1 goal, 1 behind, 1 out of bounds.
I reckon his mate Peter Simic will be giving him a little bit of a hint after the game and how to kick him properly.
Neil Danaher's thrown out the challenge. David Swartz has gone onto the ground, into the forward line. Will they move Djakovic back onto him or leave Darren Glass there?
Phoebe's kick in, and Ingerson takes the mark. 33 points the difference. Melbourne in front, and we're midway through the third quarter. Robertson flies for the mark, but can't bring it down. Rigoni back to McDonald. Neitz with McIntosh. Neitz beats him. McIntosh recovers. Banfield dashes back. Bruce hits him. Banfield over it. Play on. And a little kick by Farmer is out of bounds in the forward pocket.
Well, you'd probably like to think that Ken Judge will just give young Glass the opportunity to play on a good player like Schwartz. Leave Djakovic up there to enjoy himself at full forward.
Well, McIntosh missed it. Chance here for Schwartz. Morrison intercepts. And the ball knocked towards the boundary line by Jones.
I've been very, very impressed though with Melbourne. Certainly their ability when they're in the tight clinches just to feed the ball out. They've always seemed to have that release play that they can handball a ball out. Generally they go backwards, allows the player to take his time and see what's up forward.
Yeah, they had a bit of a downer last year, but have they stormed back? Because they reached the preliminary final 2 years ago, the Demons, and they're pretty well on track to do at least that again this year.
It'll be their best finish since 1964, so it's been a long time.
They won the premiership in 1964 too. Could be an omen.
Pretty ominous, isn't it?
If we finish third, maybe they're in the mix. All season we've been talking about Essendon first and then Carlton second. But just maybe there's a few other teams coming into the equation, like Melbourne, maybe Brisbane as well. Leoncelli's kick to centre half forward, disciplined, and the mark taken by Schwartz. The Ox to Farmer. Work Banfield under it. McIntosh back to help.
He loves doing that, Jeff Farmer. He loves that body-on-body contact where he can just sort of push the player aside and then turn and sort of get onto it. He's very, very quick over that 5 to 10 metres. Of course, Drew Banfield's one of the quicker players in the Eagles. You can just sort of see his ability to push the player off the ball.
Banfield's had 11 possessions. Farmer's had 6, but Jeff Farmer's kicked 3 goals. It comes to Morrison. Works it away to Williams. Oh, that might have been a fraction lucky, but they get out of it. Fletcher up towards the middle of the ground. Matera! Once again, he can't take the mark. It comes to Kemp. The ball comes, spills here to Chambers. Chambers on the run to an open goal square. Not without a show! Oh, you wouldn't believe it.
Bounced the wrong way for the young fella. They've been much better in this quarter, the West Coast Eagles. They've been attacking a little bit more. They've been getting it into the 50-metre zone 7 times each. So Ken Judge will certainly be more happy with the way that they've gone about it. And just couldn't take a trick in that case.
Well, they've outscored them. It's 2 goals. Well, it's actually 2 goals to each in this quarter. So dead level in the third term. Uze's hand pass to Walsh. Phoebe working forward. Farmer in a bit of room here now. Good hands, brilliant. To Cameron Bruce. How about that for a goal? Well, that was a brilliant goal by Cameron Bruce. But what about the hands by Jeffrey Farmer? Fantastic goal by the Demons. They've made a change just while that goal was being kicked, with Powell off the ground and Travis Johnstone back on for the Demons. Just a rotation in midfield. Comes here to Leoncelli, who's one of the midfielders who's been a bit quiet. Phoebe to Schwartz. And in a bit of space is Woewodin. Put this down for a goal. Shane Woewodin off the left boot. I'm not sure he actually kicked for goal. He might have passed to Farmer and it's hit the post from behind.
Well, it's surprising that they're able to get the ball and find a free man there going forward, because Chad Morrison was actually starting on the half-back line as a spare man in defence, and that was leaving Simmons to play the spare man for Melbourne in the Eagles forward line. But again, the ability just to work the ball forward and to be able to find a spare man, just their backup and their ability to have players always at the fall of the ball.
Matthew Collins has just come on for the Demons after quite a sit on the bench.
That's the second or third time that Callum James has been the go-to man out of the kick-ins.
And yet he's kicked 1 goal 1. So he's got forward a couple of times, playing just his 6th game. Melbourne have it. Oh, look at this. Woewodin out to space for Uze. Uze, brilliant kick. Bruce again. Well, that's just team plan working to a treat.
If you only give players that amount of space, especially the calibre of Woewodin and Uze, who's just been in dominant form all day today, and he was just out there on his own. Have a look at this. There was just nobody marking him at all, and I'm not quite sure who's picking him up, but they're just giving him way too much space.
Bruce for his 3rd goal, and he has kicked it.
Meet the offers.
Cameron Bruce is being picked up by Andrew Embley. The two 32s on each other, and Bruce has kicked the last 2 goals of the game. Woewodin bursts out of the middle and burns off Cousins to kick another goal. Well, that's the quickest goal you'll see from a centre bounce.
And you can't really say other much than what you sort of saw on television. It just came straight out of the centre bounce. There was no resistance whatsoever. Have a look at this Jeff Farmer, who has just been in total good form. Jeff White, I should say. And Woewodin, who was on the move, running forward, had a little tiny bit of resistance. Cousin was on his tail, but he's a class player, and on the run, he's a very good shot on goal.
Ball being thrown up in the middle, and Jeff White has loved this, and he's just winning hit out after hit out. The previous time went to Woewodin for a goal. That time Kemp for the Eagles intercepted. Grabbed now by Collins for the Demons. And they attack down the broadcast side once again to Rigoni, who's had a big day. Kicked by Guy Rigoni. Bruce and Embley. Bruce is giving him a touch-up recently. But here comes Andrew Embley. Hand pass, okay. And eventually they'll break from centre wing through Jones. Inside the 50, and Collins a good punch. Put his body on the line. Bit going on behind the play here.
Yeah, and Peter Matera's off the ground, Drew. He's on the bench and I guess kickless.
Is he well? Is he got the flu or something?
Well, they've said there's no problem with him, so
just one of those days.
Kemp comes backwards with Mitchell White slipped over. Made it pretty easy for the D's to clear. And Leoncelli up towards centre wing. Johnstone beats a couple of them. Uze comes in to help. Lightning hand pass. It finishes with Jones, now Morrison. And a chance further afield to Hunter. Young Hunter on the bounce to no one. Walsh is there. And Ingerson, as he went to ground, gives the ball up to Rigoni. Guy Rigoni, a brilliant day he's had. He's up to 24 possessions. It's up for grabs at centre half forward. Uze might have tackled the player before he got the ball. And eventually, John Harvey agrees. And the free kick will go to Green. Casey Green to Morrison. We've got 3 minutes remaining to three-quarter time. Melbourne, 18 goals 8. Lead the West Coast, 10 goals 5. Ball comes out here to Fletcher. Mitchell White back to Donnelly, who's hit 4. Nobody in the goal square, but he hasn't given it enough. And it bounces through for it behind.
It's a couple of times there we've seen Chad Fletcher and his ability to just be at the fall of the ball and deliver it into the forward line, into the 50-metre zone. But it's just not coming down there enough. Basically, Mitchell White sort of playing a lone sort of hand down there.
50-point lead now to the Demons. And it's going to be a free kick for Troy Simmons.
He'll have to come back for that one. I don't think he'll be able to play on.
Well, he was in an awkward position there, that youngster Kane Munro. He didn't have the height to go with Simmons, who's got the height of a ruckman. Virtually had to be illegal to beat him. Walsh to McDonald. McDonald's kick to the Ox. Schwartz palms down, but, well, he's beaten for the ball eventually. That was well done by Glass. Ward, hasn't he gone well? And almost a mark. Well, he went for the spoil, Williams, and nearly gathered it on the rebound.
Yeah, good interception there. He's done pretty well since he's been moved into the back line, Andrew Williams. Sort of made his name as a half-forward flanker originally.
Donald, kick bouncing for Neitz. Bruce was taken out when he didn't have the ball. Chance in there to Green. Kane Green. Knocked forward by Powell to Uze. He puts it up high. Farmer and Banfield. Farmer's got it. Jeffrey's dangerous. And he's hit the post for the second time. So he's kicked 3 goals, 2, and both of his behinds have been posters. So he's about 2 centimetres away from 5 straight.
Forever dangerous. There he is again. He's fending his opponent off. The Eagles have done very well on their kickouts today. Especially McIntosh has been able to find a man most times. It's their ability then to find a player with his second kick.
Look at Jeff White at bootlace height. What a pickup. Leoncelli spotted Powell, but didn't have much of a rest on the bench. And the former Bulldog has time to set up, and he had choices of players, and finally finds Robertson. Minute 15 to go to 3-quarter time. Melbourne haven't quite gone on with the rollicking display of the second quarter. They've kicked 5 goals 4 in this term to the Eagles 2 goals 3. Robertson, 40 metres. He's kicked it.
Yeah, it's surprising you sort of say because
it was quiet, wasn't it?
Yeah, the crowds have been very, very dull on that response. 48 seconds to go, and as you said, 6 goals, not a bad return. It's they've sort of crept up and got that many. The Eagles have put up a pretty good effort, but so far Melbourne have just steadily gone about it. 6 goals, 9 goals the second quarter, 4 or 5 in the first.
Russell Robertson's second goal greeted by stony silence here at Subiaco Oval as White wins another hit out in the middle. Turnbull, nice old pasting in there today. Ward comes up to meet the ball. Rangy defender who's got a lot of the football here today. And he's had 16 possessions, taken 4 marks.
Well, they're both playing with a spare man in defence. The Eagles sort of rotating. At this time it was Chambers who came in off the half-back line. And Ward was the player who was benefit for the Melbourne because he was the spare man in defence for their side.
The Ox tries to burst his way through. Robertson, a good pick-up. And pass knocked down by Williams. He goes back and Embley has to go for the boundary line and finds the safety of out of bounds.
2 young boys having a bit of a push and a shove. Saw plenty of that last week here. It was a different occasion, yeah.
Schwartz is a second go at it. Eventually the ball comes down to the front to Fletcher. Intercept by Johnstone, but time might beat the Demons to get another goal unless this is a mark. Neitz, not quite. Cousins is there for the Eagles, and that'll be the end of the penny section for the third quarter. Another quarter won by Melbourne. They lost the first term by 3 points, but they led by 32 at halftime, and they now lead by 57 points at 3-quarter time. Melbourne 19-9-123 to the West Coast Eagles 10 goals 6-66, and Melbourne travelling well. They'll finish the season winning 8 of their last 9 games, and their only defeat was a 1-pointer to the Kangaroos. The victory here, 19-9-123 to the West Coast Eagles, 10 goals 6-66 at 3-quarter time.
The Coca-Cola AFL Premiership Season 2000, brought to you by Victoria Bitter. Mitsubishi Magna V6, one drive and you're hooked. McDonald's, enjoy the fun and games. And Telstra, making life easier.
And this is a reminder of Melbourne's situation coming into this game. A loss would have meant finishing fourth and playing Essendon next week, but a win, which seems likely. Now they lead by 57 points. They'll finish third and look like playing Carlton in the qualifying final next week. And now we go over to Melbourne, and live pictures coming from the AFL boardroom at the MCG with Wayne Jackson, who at the conclusion of this game, for viewers to game day down the eastern states, will announce the finals draw for next weekend with Sandy Roberts. That'll be coming up straight after the conclusion of this game here. The week one finals announcement at 5:45 Eastern time from AFL headquarters. And down on the boundary line, here's Barrow with Chris Fagan leaving the Melbourne huddle.
Thanks, Drew. Yes, Chris, pretty well panning out as you expected.
Yeah, we're in a good position at three-quarter time. It's probably, if this is the way we want it to be, we know we've got the opportunity now, hopefully with the game under control, to rest a few of our players and to make sure that we're well prepared for next week.
Must be hard not to look forward to Carlton next week. First round of the finals, it'll be a belter.
Oh, we're very excited about playing Carlton. I mean, they flogged us in about 8 weeks ago, and we're looking forward to the chance to come back against them hard.
Good on you, Chris. Congratulations. Thanks for joining us. Drew, back to you.
Thanks, Barrow. Carlton certainly did beat them by 98 points. And at that stage, Melbourne had lost 3 games in a row and were 8th after 13 rounds. Well, since then, they've gone on this streak, and they've worked their way up to 3rd from 8th.
Certainly are resting a few players, and there's Guy McKenna. I wouldn't be surprised we see him come on just before the end of the game. I'm sure Ken Judge will give him the opportunity.
Start of the final term in brilliant sunshine here at Subiaco Oval. The last quarter of football for the season for the West Coast Eagles, who'll miss the finals for the first time since 1989. Melbourne straight into attack, but McIntosh is there for the Eagles. It comes to Neitz. Clever kick. Wants the bounce. Embley's back there for the Eagles. Woewodin, good tackle. And the ball's still on the forward line for the D's.
Where the Eagles were pretty good during that third quarter was actually in their centre clearances. They won that 5-3, but that's not too bad considering Jeff White actually won the hit out 7-2 opposed to Ryan Turnbull. So pretty good sharpening work from the Eagles midfielders.
Chance here for Melbourne if Woewodin can get hold of this football. He can't. Hurried kick out of defence by Williams towards the boundary line and out.
Noticed a couple of the players, they said Dressing McDonald's having a bit of rest. He's didn't do too bad today. Farmer's off the ground, making sure that they've got their leading goal kicker safe and tucked away and ready for their game against Carlton next week.
So important when he's kicked big bags of goals this season. The Demons have won by a mile. And if they can somehow conjure something like that up against the Blues next week, well, they can turn around that 98-point thrashing of the last time. Here come Melbourne again. Powell floats one over the top to Grgic, who becomes the 12th goal kicker.
And he's booted that one that far. It's actually gone out of the stadium. It's gone over the top of the stands. That was the big roar from the crowd of people wondering why they were giving him a bit of a big cheer, because of course most of them here would be supporting the Eagles. But he has just booted that well and truly over. Very gutsy effort there. I think that's Glassick's coming back from the Eagles, and we saw a couple of the players still stay down. But if you can just have a look at that, there's 4 Melbourne players just in numbers. It's always going to be 2. There it is. There's the ball.
And the ball lodged on the roof here at Subiaco Oval after Brent Grgic kicked the goal from about 1 metre out, kicked it about 50 in the air. Centre bounce, well, that's one that maybe White didn't win against Turnbull. Comes the Eagles' way. And it comes wide and out of bounds at right half forward.
Drew, the Eagles bench, Guy McKenna is there and probably won't come on to the last 5 minutes now. David Haynes, Adam Hunter and Casey Green. And as you said, over at the Demons, they are resting Swartz and Farmer.
White wins the boundary throw in. It comes to Leoncelli, who's had a bit more of it since a spell on the bench. And from a prone position gets the hand pass out. But the Eagles have it now. And I've liked the look of Kane Munro. Big leap back. That was by Troy Simmons. It comes to White. He's got great hands. Ward the hand pass. Uze. Walsh.
It's a great run from the Melbourne players.
Travis Johnstone approaches the 50. It's away to the right and through for a minor score.
It's pretty hard to stop a side when they've just got sort of the weight of numbers and their ability to bring it back through the corridor too, where their midfield players are getting to. And they just continue to keep finding spaces.
McIntosh, like an old warrior too. With Morrison.
Yeah, there'll be a few of the Eagles players will be happy to sort of see the season come to an end. And as I was saying, as for some of the young kids like young Munro and Green that are just starting out, they'll be just saying, oh, we've just got going, you know. We want to play some more games. So
a bit of a celebration for Bluey McKenna tonight. I suppose Mad Monday's on the go, is it?
Well, they'll be having their, I would say, their end of season get-together at down at Steve's Hotel tomorrow in Nedlands. And there is a bit of a celebration this afternoon after the game's finished down in the Eagles change rooms for Guy McKenna.
Woewodin had a bit of a fumble. Here's Grgic. Not a bad effort, just offline.
He's relishing his time up in the forward line today, Glenn Grgic. Tell you what, if he had been down in the back line, he would have been seeing a lot more of it because it's been getting down there. Yeah, it's been getting into the Eagles, the Melbourne forward line, a lot more than what the Eagles have got it. You just see there his ability, where he's going to go.
Johnston's kick, well, that was interesting. The way Simmons got rid of Grgic, and Simmons took an uncontested mark. Good reading off the hands by Bruce, and great running by Grgic. He's looking for his second goal, but he passes it off. At the back, Robertson. Good control. Robertson to the goal square. Oh, Bruce had kept going. No, it's not Cameron Bruce this time. It is Green. Brad Green will kick his second goal. Well played, Robertson.
Pretty classy. I think originally he was actually trying to hoof it around for a goal, but it didn't come off correctly, and young Green was playing in the right position in front.
So Green from point-blank range. Kick the goal. Well, the margin's 69 points. When they met in round 7 earlier in the year, Melbourne won by 61 at Colonial Stadium. Morrison's had a lot of the footy. He's coming up for his 21st kick.
12 possessions in that third quarter, Drew.
Here's Matera, and he got his boot to the ball at last and kicked the goal.
Is it a goal? He has.
He's waited till the last quarter to get his first kick, and it's a goal.
Well, it hasn't been one of his better days. Chad Morrison, as you said, who's had a lot of the ball, 12 possessions in that third quarter, and they're always going to try and rely on Peter Matera to try and kick them a big swag of their goals today, but he's just had one of those days that he'd probably rather forget. But he just snuck his foot over there. It was almost like a soccer goal. He wanted to make sure he got his foot to the ball.
So Peter Matera, stats of 1 kick, 5 hand passes, and that 1 kick has finally brought up a goal. It was about a 3-centimetre kick over the line. Cousins, his 100th game, not too happy either, just like Guy McKenna's 267th and last. But Cousins gets the free kick. Hasn't had all that much, but he's 16 possessions so far. And the kick by Cousins towards Donnelly, who's outmarked by his opponent. And the mark taken by Simmons, who finds Johnston. And look at Uze getting clear of Cousins again. And Adem Uze, 21 possessions. Actually,
it's quite down, isn't it?
Not Bradman-esque, is it? Comes to Banfield. And Banfield's kicked down the line, marked by Munro. Kane Munro. Just 18 years of age. Looks the goods. Kicks inside at 50. Matera there in front. Comes to the front to Fletcher. And a free kick against Johnston. And Fletcher will have a shot for goal from about the 50.
If you look on the positive for the Eagles, Ken Judge will certainly have a look at how some of the youngsters perform, because there is certainly going to be a fairly large clean out of the West Coast Eagles, but young Munro certainly stood tall today. He's had himself 12 possessions and he's kicked himself a goal. Lining up now is young Chad Fletcher.
This is his 20th possession. He was the Norwich Rising Star nominee last week, and that kick hasn't quite made the distance from inside 50. Russ through for a behind.
We played quite a good game last week against the Derby. In the Derby, had a bit of a purple patch there through the mid part of the season.
Interesting bunch down the middle. Most of them down the corridor are now fanning out to the flanks.
And then they just go straight up the middle.
A great kick by Johnson, and this could be a goal to the Eagles. There's a big chance here, and a shot for goal by Jones. Disappointing. Well, Nicholson takes the mark in the back pocket. Comes to Johnstone, who has a second attempt. That's better. Simmons moving well. Oh, poor kick. Oh, Mitchell White hasn't been his day either. Comes to Uze. The sun may have been a problem there. Here they go again. Green, not a great option because Johnstone was covered. Rigoni. Rigoni, across the half-forward line. Robertson juggles, comes to Grgic. And his kick, not over the roof this time, and not even straight, or behind.
Had a good day out since he came on off the bench. It's not a bad day when you can rest the likes of Farmer, Schwartz, McDonald. You just have had a lot of the ball and gain the ability once they get the ball to be able to have a runner or a spare man, be able to feed it out.
Well, they're in a pretty good position for next week now, Melbourne. And I'm sure they'll be hoping that their particular final next week is on the Sunday, because trip to Perth's a long one. And this is a Sunday game. You wouldn't want a 6-day week coming off the trip to Perth. So I reckon they'd be voting heavily for a Sunday game against the Blues. White to Johnson after the free kick. And chopped off by Glass. Up to the middle of the ground to Munro. He's spoiled. Might have taken a free, but wasn't on. Ingerson down the line. Sun is a problem there. Green gets a good spoil put on him.
Update you on the Demons bench. Schwartz is about to come back on. Stephen Phoebe's also there, resting Jeff Farmer and Anthony McDonald.
13.5 minutes, a few grins there on the Demons bench. Pretty happy with their lot in life at the moment, I would say. Well, Callum Chambers couldn't get clear, and the umpire will ball it up. Eagles led by 3 points at quarter time after kicking 5 goals to 4. Then Melbourne led by 32 at half-time when they kicked 9 goals in the second term. And they led by 57 at three-quarter time. And at the moment, the margin is 63 points. That's Green, Casey Green for the Eagles. On all fours is Nicholson. Uze on the turn, clever kick. Rigoni attacked the ball hard, really approached the ball well to Grgic. Great smother by the youngster Chambers. And now Dean Kemp, burst clear. Here's a chance for White. Spoiled by Nicholson. White keeps the ball alive. Munro gains about 20 metres.
They've rested Woewodin too now, and Neitz. All the guns are on the bench.
Munro, 10 kicks, 3 hand passes, and he kicked a goal. Well done, son. It's tough when they have to use this many first-year players all together in a season when the team is getting a belting every week. Uze goes in and wins the football again. He's great off the left. Now, how do you get that much space on a footy field? Powell's 20 metres in the clear. Glass trying to run him down. He's got no chance. Powell. Well, Morrison takes it off the hands, finds McIntosh. And McIntosh's hand pass, not all that flash. It's still here for the Demons. And Powell will kick a goal. Well, that was messy by the Eagles. Well, Powell's been no slouch. 27 possessions and a couple of goals to him. Chambers goes to ground. Cousins. Through Turnbull it goes. Glass up towards half forward. And punched away by Nicholson, who's really stood up and been a great defender for the Demons this year. He's pretty much come from nowhere.
It's been an area that the Eagles have really fallen down is in the marking contest, especially contested marks. They take the second least amount of marks in the AFL, so it's pretty hard when you're going forward. You've just sort of got to bomb it long and hope that they've got players on the ground to mop up.
Walsh backed out of trouble then. Johnstone, well, he tried to get the hand pass in, but accidentally took it over the line. Travis Johnstone, he spent a lot of the early part of the game on the bench, and he's come on to win 11 possessions. He's done pretty well. Grgic also had 11. They came on about the same time. Tackled by Johnstone, and over the boundary line goes Chambers. The crowd are wanting a free kick, but that's a boundary throw-in.
Also got very different forward setups. The Eagles had mostly 3 players playing down the full forward. Melbourne are just going with the 1. Djakovic is now coming up to centre forward. The Eagles are asking him to move forward and not give himself an opportunity to get into the play.
Smothered by Chambers, but Uze with a second attempt, gains about 40 metres, kept in by Grgic, but not by McIntosh. I think the Eagles are very, very keen to see the last 11 minutes tick by.
Yeah, and it's when you're playing in these situations, Drew, it's a very long time out there. You're just hoping that it will just hurry up and get over and done with. The Melbourne boys, well, they're just enjoying the situation because they really have controlled the game for the majority of the day.
Banfield not having to worry about Jeff Farmer at the moment because the Wizard's sitting on the bench. Turnbull, look at the speed of Walsh. He's come from nowhere. Turnbull worked off it beautifully by Ingerson. And now maybe Ingerson's holding it. He is.
Well done, Ryan Turnbull, though, for a big man. 2-on-1. He was always going to be up against the odds, but he's just persisted. It's been a long day at the office for him. 2 up against Jeff White. And there was no doubt about Ingerson actually very easy to just actually pull the ball into him.
Meantime, Cousins gives off the hand pass, and this youngster should kick a goal, but he doesn't. Kane Munro hooked it for a behind. He's kicked 1-1. Playing just his second game from the Bendigo Pioneers. So he's a long way from home to come over and start his AFL career with the West Coast Eagles. Johnstone kicks in. Oh. Look at Ingerson. He's 20 metres in the clear. I don't think I've seen a team bring the ball in from a behind so easily as that. And McDonald's kick. Marked by Schwartz. Schwartz puts it out towards the pocket. Here's a chance. Good chance for Leoncelli. The hand pass away and another goal here to Bruce. Bruce has finished with, well, he hasn't finished yet, but he's got 4 goals. He's had 18 possessions, 4 straight he's kicked. Djakovic soccers off the ground. Ingerson's there for the Demons. Works it to Powell. Well done, Kemp. Game's well over, but he's in there fighting hard. To Cousins, to Djakovic. Now up the ground to Jones. Kick by Jones. Wide for Matera, but too wide. Boy, he's done well. Nearly kept that ball in, Peter Matera.
Drew, Guy McKenna is on the phone at the moment talking to the coach about whether he should go back onto this game. And to the credit of the Eagles fans, all 35,000 odd, they have remained in their seats. They haven't left. There will be a special tribute to Bluey at the end of the game, so good on you, fans.
Well, the viewers in the eastern states with game day will be leaving for the announcement of the final series, and West Australian viewers, we will be staying for that special tribute to Guy McKenna after this game. This will be a ball up just on the 50.
They've made a swap. Glenn Djakovic has now gone back to play on Schwartz, who's come onto the ground and centre forward. And Ashley McIntosh is going to spend some time up on the forward line.
A lot of players around this ball up. Turnbull wins one for a change. Kemp, great for the Eagles. Dean Kemp from near the boundary line, right to the line. And it's a free kick. Eagles free kick.
Holding on to his jumper by the looks.
Callum Chambers will take the free against Johnstone. His angle might be pretty extreme here, though.
Let's take a look. It's pretty hard from the shadow there. Couldn't quite sort of see it. He's just looking around here to see whether he can find a player spare.
A lot of players in this 50-metre arc now. Chambers improves the angle a bit, and he's kicked the goal. He's second.
Whoa, it's the Repco Big League Finals kickoff.
Well, Melbourne have kicked 4 goals in the last quarter, and the Eagles have now kicked 2. The ball's worked on by Uze for the Demons. Grgic works to the front. Very clever Grgic, and he shot for goal. He hooked it back too far, and it's through for it behind. Sandy Robertson and Wayne Jackson in the top left corner there, just getting ready in the boardroom at the MCG.
Pretty efficient in this quarter, the Demons, with their scoring. That's 75%. They've been in 9 times for 6 scores in there, you can see. Wayne Jackson and Sandy.
I'd say good day to the boys. I'm not sure whether they're listening to us. They're getting ready for a very important task to settle on the finals routine for next week. Morrison, he has had a lot of the ball. He's had 22 kicks, 30 possessions. Chad Morrison. Here comes the Ox. Schwartz, ball sits up for Green. From the 50, left foot, very high to the top of the goal square. Robertson's a good leaper. And Robertson tries to get off the ground behind.
And again, once Chad Morrison played on, he just had no one upfield to kick to, and he was kicking to one of the smallest players in a one-on situation, young Chad Fletcher, who's as opposed to Peter Walsh. And once the ball hit the ground, though, just the work rate of the Demons. Here you can see Williams going to the outer side.
And Djakovic back in defence, takes the mark. He has moved forward, and Glenn Djakovic has kicked 1 goal 2 here today. Cousins on centre wing, back to Turnbull. Maybe there's more in store for the Eagles. Kicked by Turnbull. Mitchell White held onto it for a fair while and gave the right option eventually. Matera, he's had an absolute Barry Crocker, Peter Matera. The ball comes out here to Jones. Now Matera, and yes sir, he's kicked 2.
Good work there by young Callum Chambers actually to get involved there. Originally I thought Jones probably had made the wrong decision in originally passing it to Peter Matera on one-on-one because Chambers was actually on his own. But a little bit of persistence. If you just take a look here, if you just sort of see, there you can see Chambers. Probably would have been a better situation to have gone to him. But there's the applause for Guy McKenna. He's just about ready to come back onto the ground. Fans are going to pay tribute to him.
So Guy McKenna comes back onto Subiaco Oval with 7 minutes remaining in his league career, and the fans around the ground are holding up the thanks Bluey signs. What a fantastic sight and sound it was when McKenna came back off the interchange bench. And now the chant goes up for Bluey. And we certainly hope he gets a few more possessions late in the game. He's on the forward line, he might even kick a goal.
I was just going to say, wouldn't that be a great way to cap it off, eh?
And the chant goes round like Lily used to go round at the MCD. It's Bluey at Subi.
There's the run from Melbourne again. This is just fantastic the way they've been able to bring the ball down through their handball and their run.
Walsh's kick is perfect on the chest of Adem, and he's marked right in front.
That's just springboarded off the half-back line there with no resistance whatsoever. Walsh was able to run down, take a couple of bounces and deliver it to probably the man who really set up Melbourne's win in the first half, Adem.
Well, he's kicking for his 4th goal. It's been a big day. Beautiful left foot kick. Ball back in the middle for the bounce. That's now 5 goals in the last term, 5-3 in favour of Melbourne. White wins another one in the middle down to Leoncelli, and his kick towards half forward comes to Banfield. Whose opponent, Jeff White, kicked 3 goals and is spending the last quarter on the bench. Through Kemp it goes, on further afield. Fletcher put it out wide. Chambers, Matera, it was Munro, and offline, and a behind to Munro.
That was better work though from the Eagles to be Drew Banfield there, bringing the ball back through the centre, and then some quick handballs over to some players, and able to release it out. It's all too late, and really now they're just playing out, waiting for the tribute to Guy McKenna at the end of this game.
McIntosh at the back can't take the mark. Banfield gets the ball in. Fletcher. And a good mark to Mitchell White. Right in front, 30 from goal.
Well, Drew Banfield's seen a fair amount of the ball in this quarter since Farmer's been taken off. He's relished the opportunity to actually go forward and just be a bit of a playmaker.
He's had the padlock released.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. Mitchell White had a pretty quiet day for Mitchell.
Looking for his first score today.
Still managed to get 11 handballs, so 17 possessions.
So right in front, and White kicks the goal. Well, that'll be something for him to remember over the off-season and the end-of-season trip, pre-season training.
And just good to see all the players getting over and still congratulating and just saying well done. Normally you only see that when generally early in the game if it's a tight situation, but of course they're certainly not going to win this one. And you can just hear the crowd now calling out Bluey.
A goal to Mitchell White, and just under 5 minutes remaining in the season for the West Coast Eagles. They haven't missed the finals since 1989. Every year in the 90s under Mick Malthouse, they've been there. Bruce comes in short, perfect kick to Green.
Bruce just turned his opponent inside out there, but allowing Powell there to sit forward of the ruck tap, because Jeff White has been winning the ruck taps all day, and Powell was sitting on the offensive side all on his own. And really should have been better manning up inside the square there from the Eagles, and that centre bounce down.
Talk about the Eagles' first-year players. Bruce and Green are both first-yearers for the Demons. That ball's hit the post of Brad Green. And they're both playing their 17th AFL game, Cameron Bruce and Brad Green. So a lot to look forward to for the Demons as well. Morrison brings the ball in. Well, this could be trouble, but Kemp's good enough. Boy from Kalgoorlie.
25 possessions, 26 possessions for Dean Kemp. Another good performance. And him and Morrison have certainly been probably a standout performance for the Eagles this year.
Djakovic, he turned Schwartz inside out and then lost control of the footy and then biffed him and gave away a free kick. It's when it's just not your day. Grgic with a long kick towards the forward line, but not good for the forwards, really. Good hands by Uze. And somehow keeps it in. Williams takes it. And Kemp now has it for the Eagles. Left half back. Fumbles the ball. He didn't have anyone to kick to. Grgic is there. Flips the ball for Schwartz. Now Leoncelli beats one or two. Back to Grgic. Oh, Uze! He was up too early, but he still took the mark.
He may have injured himself. Let's hope not. Oh, that was just a fantastic grab. Didn't he jump early? Have a look at this.
Took it on the way down.
When you're having a day out, it just all goes for you, doesn't it, eh?
And he's kicking for his 5th. Now, that's got to be a PB. I don't think that Adem would have kicked a 5 before.
Make the most of it, son.
And he hasn't missed. He's kicked 4 straight.
It's been a very impressive performance, hasn't it, by Melbourne today? They'll certainly go into the finals with a lot of confidence, and Carlton will have to be on their game next week.
30 metres out. Radar-like. Two and a half minutes remaining in the game as Turnbull beats White for one of the few times today. Nice clash of bodies there. Is he tough nut, this bloke? Walsh, well played. Out to Leoncelli, who started quietly and has got going since a tardy start. Up towards half forward. Punch to the front. Johnston's there. Bit of basketball being played until Djakovic gets hold of it. A high ball to the wing. The crowd want the ball to get to the Eagles forward line so Bluey can take a mark or kick a goal. And it might do that. Here comes Ben Cousins. He looks for Bluey. He's got it. Oh, perfect.
Well, this would just cap off a remarkable career. And what a way to send it out.
And the crowd's going absolutely ballistic.
What about the symbolism of the next captain, perhaps kicking to the outgoing captain?
Bit of pressure now on you, Bluey, in your last game. And he's kicked the goal! What a finish to a career!
Look at this. Every single player all over the ground from the Eagles is running down to Guy McKenna. Well, this is just a very moving situation. That is just fantastic to see. And I'm sure he'll have a little bit of a tear in his eye because I'm almost getting one myself.
Look at the people with the thanks Bluey signs.
And he's having a little bit of a smile. There's his mate Peter Matera. And what a way to cap it off a career. It doesn't come much better than that, does it?
Just fantastic. What a highlight for the game. Disappointment all day for the Eagles. They've been belted again, but what a finish for Bluey McKenna. And it's gone to the forward line again. Who knows? Here he is. Tackled by Simmons. Ward, he's too tough to be giving up any easy goals to McKenna at this stage. And Melbourne run it out of defence. Nicholson, the hand pass across to McDonald. Now Ingerson. Oh, not a good kick. taken by Cousins. Cousins, who gave it to McKenna last time. What will he do this time? Here he goes again. Not quite this time. Simmons put on the spoil. And the crowd booing Troy Simmons. And all he's doing is playing the role of a backman. Powell, the hand pass in. McDonald, Gordon a good tackle. Jeff White, we're in the last minute of the game.
Fantastic support.
And so maybe the last goal of the game was to Bluey McKenna, but just maybe Melbourne will get another one yet. Travis Johnstone in a lot of space, and he really should kick this goal, and has nailed it.
Well, again, just the support and the work rate of the Melbourne players. They've just brought that ball out of defence in basically like a rugby run sort of fashion across the half-back line. They were able to swing the ball back through the centre. Jeff White, who's just been absolutely fantastic today, he's just completely dominated. And look at the ability to be able to find players through the centre of the corridor, all on their own. And that was a lovely kick from Johnson.
Drew, what about Guy McKenna's last kick in footy being a goal?
You wouldn't.
He's only kicked 28 goals in his whole career, Maney.
If I was Bluey, I wouldn't go anywhere near the ball now, Adrian.
So with just 24 seconds left on the clock, the umpire restarts proceedings. Melbourne come forward again. It's a big win for Melbourne, but a highlight for Bluey McKenna. With his last kick in his career, he'll kick a goal. Well, who knows? Will he get it again? Here goes Chambers. Bit of a fumble there. Going forward for the Eagles. Chambers again in the chop. Now Melbourne have it. And there's the siren. It's all over. And Melbourne finished third on the ladder. A fantastic performance by the Demons, who've won 8 out of their last 9 games and have charged into the finals in great form, winning their last 5 in a row. Bluey McKenna bows out. 267 great games, best and fairest twice, and the last kick in his career was a great goal for the Eagles, which was the highlight for a crowd of 34,000 at Subiaco.
Give me a G-A-F-E-D-A-Y, Dano!
And as the sun sets on the final game day for season 2000, boys, I've almost got a tear in my eye. But it's time for post-match. I'll recap the final scores from the games played this afternoon. Adelaide, Port winners by 47 points. Burgoyne and Lockwood kick 4 apiece, with Dew and Treadway kicking 3, and McLeod kicking 4 goals for the Crows, with Vardy 3. And really the Power, a fantastic finish to the season. There's no doubt about that, and the Crows a long summer ahead. And over the MCG, the Tigers played Carlton Shorey.
And the Blues were 73-point winners there, John. Camporelli kicked 4, Favola kicked 4, Whitnell 2, Hickmont 2, and Carlton, just Mackay was sensational off halfback. The Carlton midfield was dominant, and there was no forwards for Richmond, and that's the reason they didn't get in this game.
And the Eagles-Melbourne game is concluded over at Subiaco, Todd.
Yes, a thumping victory to the Melbourne Football Club. 70-point victory over the West Coast Eagles. Uze with 5 goals was sensational. Stephen Powell with 30 possessions was very good. And Donnelly kicked 4 for the Eagles.